Welcome to Actoroke. I'm Peter Adkison. We are filming live to you from Chaldea Studios right here in Seattle, Washington. Tonight we are going to play Burning Wheel, a game by Luke Crane, which is one of my favorites, and we are starting a new storyline. If you've been watching Actoroke, our prior episodes, whether it was DM'd by myself or Mike Boozer or Sarah Moore, we were playing Engraver's Dig, which is very much adventuring, D&D style. Now we are going to the opposite of that at almost every level possible. Instead of playing first level characters who's struggling up to like 5th or 6th, 10th, depending on who you ask, we will be playing 6 life path Burning Wheel characters, which I've been describing as and all these players are pretty new to Burning Wheel. Megan plays it once, but she barely remembers.
Calling you out.
It's going to be extra embarrassing. I don't know what I'm doing.
This is so this will be like playing Dungeons and Dragons your first time and rolling up a 20th level character. That's what this is going to be like. So also most of our games using this system for this particular storyline will only have 3 of the players that are featured here. Tonight is special. It's our kickoff. It's a session 0 event. We will be talking about the setting. We will be creating characters together. We won't be actually playing tonight. We're just going to start the process of creating these characters and finishing them up between now and when we play for the first time. And you'll see some subset of this group 2 weeks from now. We are going to be alternating Actoroke storylines. I'll be doing this every other week. Mike Boozer is going to be continuing the story of the Nearly Departed on the alternate weeks. So 1 week from tonight, on September 1st, come back. You'll see Mike Boozer and the Nearly Departed crew. And then 2 weeks from tonight, September 8th, we'll be back to here, and we'll go that sort of rhythm. I want to apologize to anybody who is a Burning Wheel aficionado, in the sense that I do have some house rules. I don't always live up to the Luke Crane orthodoxy of everything exactly as in the books. But for the most part, I do. But the most important deviation is that I think that one of the excellent things about Burning Wheel is the idea that the GM and the players create the setting together at the beginning of a campaign. We're not doing that. I think it's an excellent idea, but we're going to force fit Burning Wheel, and this is okay. This is appropriate, but we are going to use Burning Wheel in my campaign of Chaldea, which I've run with Burning Wheel before. I've also run it with D&D. I've run it with Fiasco, and since clear back in 1979 is when I started this world. So. There will be some tweaking that is required to bring Burning Wheel and Chaldea together. But anyway, that is as it is. So let us do introductions around the table before we start playing, and then we're going to start creating characters together. All right, we'll start with you, Marcus.
Hi, my name is Marcus. He, him are my pronouns, and I am very excited to hop into this Burning Wheel and create some kind of political drama.
Oh, hello, I'm Bonsai Baby, also known as Bonsai. I'm she, her. And also, I read this, but all the rules went out in my eyeballs and then out my head.
Yeah, right? I'm Megan. I once created a character with a great deal of help, so let's not be. But like, look at this. It's complicated. Okay. Anyway, I look forward to lots of hand-holding.
Hi, I am Lexi, or Lexi the First. My pronouns are she, her, and these 2 are my witnesses that I did read the book before tonight.
Did you see that?
I mean, I didn't witness it, so I Listen, don't use me as your alibi.
Just because I fell asleep at 9 p.m. does not mean.
Hi, I'm Ray. My pronouns are she, her, and I am not her alibi, and I didn't agree to that at all as a witness. I did read the book, as evidenced by also my tabs. I didn't retain any of it, though, so we're all in this together. You cannot find me online, but all good.
Hello, I'm Bryce Bebop. I'm he, they, and I read the book.
Well, everyone agrees. We all
I
agree.
actually read the book. I saw you read the book.
Yeah.
I was there.
Like,
I was
I
there
was
for that
here
one.
reading it too, and
Should've
then
let
I
me-
made a charcuterie table. So
I feel like
as
we're all
I said,
the assignment
and
back.
We read it.
we're gonna have fun here.
We are. We're going to have fun. I also want to add, when you see us looking at our phones tonight, and by the way, I welcome you all to, if you're going into the Twitch chat for this show, that's totally fine to do that. If you're playing some computer game, no. But I want to tap to unmute. There you go. That sounds good. No. I'm calling up our Twitch channel because we're going to keep a little extra eye on the channel because Sarah Moore is also playing with us, but she's going to be in chat creating her character. So I want to be sure to catch anything that she is doing. Well, turn off the sound.
Make sure you have your audio on.
The volume.
Hey, everybody.
That's how you know I wasn't doing anything else bad. My sound was on.
Okay, it's my turn to talk, so I'm going to put this down for a moment, Sarah. Before long, I'll get one of them to talk, and then I'll be able to pick that up and finish what I was doing. Anyway, okay, so what we are going to do is create characters. I have to do some exposition at the beginning of this. I have to set the stage. I know as a filmmaker, I know exposition's bad, but sometimes you just got to do it. So let me tell you a little bit of a story. For 1,000 years ago, the only species native to this particular prime material plane, called Chaldea, the only species native to this land were dwarves and dragons. And the dwarves and dragons fought. And the dragons, because the dwarves could dig underground, were a little hard to get to, the dragons cleverly went to other planes and brought armies of humans and orcs and monsters to go root out the dwarves. And this was called the Clawhammer War. And the dragons did really well in this war and managed to wipe out most of the dwarves, but not quite all of them. The battle culminated in a battle between one of the fiercest, most warlike dragons named Surinil versus a dragon who betrayed the other dragons and who decided to take pity on the dwarves and decided, these dwarves are kind of cool. It's called the Mithril Dragon, Merithian. And maybe that's why dwarves are so fond of Mithril. Who knows? Anyway, so Merithian and Surinil had a hellacious fight. And at the end of this fight, in the heart of Kartur, in the mountains of Niche, in the middle of what was the dwarven capital, Merithian fled with what was left of most of the dwarven army. And he went down into the earth. And for 1,000 years, nobody's seen Merithian or those original dwarves. And Surinil hasn't left the hole that he went down. It's called Surinil's commode. And it's also outside the throne. It's by the throne of the gods. So that's ancient history. In the aftermath of the Clawhammer War, and one reason the dragons sort of didn't completely, in addition to Merithian betraying the other dragons, a lot of other dragons, finding these other worlds, a lot of them kind of just peeled off and moved. Here's a whole world where dragons don't exist. Because the dragons in my universe, the Pearl universe, come from this world. So to any other world, dragons are unique and interesting, bizarre, whatever, right? So a lot of the dragons just kind of lost interest in this whole fight and left. And but what happens to all the people they brought? All these humans and orcs and what have you that they brought. What followed was what's called the Great Diaspora, which was all these different people from different other worlds, like the world of Russian mythology. Like all the real world mythologies are from some place in the universe. And the people of Chaldea are of some ethnicity that is inspired by a real world ethnicity. So you have Muramaki, which is inspired by feudal Japan. You have the Ma'at, which are an ancient Egypt word for Egypt. You have Mycenae, which is Greek-inspired, and Hesse, which of course is Germanic, and so on and so forth. These people found each other, created their own kingdoms. The few dwarves that were that survived, they came back a bit. The dwarves have never become nearly as prominent of a species as they were. The dwarves of Chaldea they don't have their own kingdom. The closest thing is they have one kingdom called Stolhofen, where humans technically rule it, but the dwarven population is strong enough that the dwarves have some political power there. But they have a lot of wealth because they've kept things for the last 1,000 years. They've been accruing interest and this sort of thing. So there are a few dwarven clans that have built up to like a clan status that are, those few clans are very, very wealthy in Chaldea. The last 1,000 years, though, is also called the dark times. Lots of chaos, just lots of evil. I mean, the dragons brought lots of monsters. Just every type of monster you can think of in traditional D&D. Undead, orcs, goblins, dragons, you name it. Ogres, trolls, all the good stuff. They've all spiders.
Spiders.
Yeah, right there. Right there. And lots of warlords and just very bloody history. And there were, of course, times where civilization would beat and do okay in an area, but nobody ever was able to take over the world, conquer the world, until about 40 years ago, a guy named Marcosta Cordava. And Cordava is now we're going to betray some, remember I came up with this world when I was in high school. So adolescent male fantasies. The strong, muscular warrior who goes out and with the strength of his sword
I already had a six-pack.
conquers the world. And damn it, I'm not changing that. That always
It lives on.
Cordava is a Conan type character who takes over the world. He makes an alliance with Set, the Egyptian sort of bad guy, although, maybe he's not as bad as people think. Who knows? We'll have a whole nother discussion about Set. He certainly on the surface doesn't seem like that bad of a guy. But he did reveal that all the other Egyptian gods are fake. They're not real. Only Set is the only actual god in the Egyptian pantheon. And
I believe you, Set. I'll take your word for that, Set.
yeah.
Sounds like somebody and not God would make up.
And so Cordava, as a demigod of Set, and with the backing of Set, and also a mysterious alliance which nobody quite understands, with a race called the Drazeldar. And the Drazeldar are a species, I should say. Yeah, there they are. There is 100 of them.
Oh.
And they are
cool.
big, powerful monsters.
Oh, wow.
And
Chest eyeball.
for some reason, these Drazeldar have been devoutly loyal to Cordava since at some point in his campaign. With the help of these Drazeldar and also his own success as a military leader in the Legion, he took over the world, conquered it. And Set ascended him to demigod status on his coronation as emperor. And his buddy, one of his close, like Fafhrd the Grey Mouser, there's every hero's got the great sidekick. His BFF is this guy named Holsan, who is Ma'at, Egyptian, and Holsan is the the Menbit of Set, or the head of the Church of Set.
We all know what a medbit is.
It's like before I was worried about appropriation, I called it the Pope of Set. Basically the head dude of Set on this particular prime material plane. So, and you'll see his name on the list of Council of Consuls. And of course, your character is, if you stick with your idea, is going to know Holsan very well.
Characters can be an asshole.
Okay.
That's the only thing she's decided.
Hey, by the way, yes, Sarah, I am seeing you on chat, so that's great.
I will not disclose. Should I say what she's been saying?
I could scroll back, but I don't
Been
want
nothing
to.
but great things about everything.
Yeah.
She's
She's
been
told
watching
me to
us.
be a really good person.
I bet. So, all that happened 40 years ago. Kradava became emperor. And in the last 40 years, now he's a brutal guy. Let's not downplay it. He took over the world by force. It was the rolling up the cities and, surrender or die. Also, very bloody history on the religious front. He outlawed the worship of all gods other than Set. And there's no way to paint a picture of him being anything other than basically lawful evil in D&D terms. But over the last 40 years, he has evolved into an emperor that's hard not to admire on some level. There's been 40 years of peace compared to the dark times. The weather's been great. There has been, and wealth, a tremendous amount of wealth that has been created. Amazing what opening the borders and allowing trade between all the kingdoms of Chaldea, amazing what that does. But he is definitely, what they call it. I don't know if this term is still relevant, but back in the 90s, we had this term called a Theory X manager.
Theory X manager.
Yeah, Theory X. It's like, it's my way. This is it.
How is that different than a tyrant?
It's not.
Just wanted to make sure.
It's a different name.
It was the 90s.
It's 90s. It's
tyrant.
he is a tyrant. And but he does listen. He's an effective tyrant. He listens to his people. This is meant to be morally complex. I love moral complexity, by the way. That's a theme and you'll find in my games. In order to better hear and understand the needs of his people, he created a Senate. The Senate includes, and he very formally divided up. You're thinking about the Council of Cartography?
Cartography.
Yeah, you've been very important to him.
Oh, yeah.
Because one of the things that he has done is created maps of the world. Yeah, you created the maps, yes.
Good job. Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Very good.
Yeah. And drew borders.
Yeah.
And made sure that every square mile of Chaldea we know which kingdom it's in.
Yeah, the dotted line was my idea.
I was just admiring it, so I was going to say, wow, look at these dotted lines.
Yeah, we know where the dotted lines, and therefore, and every kingdom has somebody who's responsible for it, a kingdom ruler. And all these kingdom rulers are part of the Senate. There's like 45-ish kingdoms, depending on how you define it. Plus, depending on how important the kingdom is, a certain amount of aristocracy from that kingdom. It's not just the king or warlord or whatever. There's other important people who are part of the Senate. It's several hundred people, so they're part of the Senate. And you can,
Whoa.
right. Now, the senators, hundreds of people, the rulers and aristocracy, and also just a few personages that don't have any clear reason why they should be a senator, but they are people that Kradava chose to reward, and this is something that meets annually, and it is largely ceremonial, and it doesn't do a lot other than provide an area for discourse. There's an important building in the capital city called the Senate Discourse. And with that idea, that's where the Senate meets. Everybody gets a chance to talk. The emperor is very present, talks to everybody. Really actually tries to do a good job. As long as you're
In that line.
in the line. Yeah. Okay. But the senators go back home to their day jobs of ruling their countries. He needs them to go home and run shit, right? But he also needs to have a working group of people that actually do the work of running the federal government, the empire, as opposed to all the regional governments. Like the federal government, like in our country, right? States have governments, but there's a federal government. Similar situation here. It's called the Senate, specifically, or the imperial. Imperial in front of any word is like federal in our world, right?
Okay.
So he created a working group called the Council of Consuls. The consuls, who are also senators, picking from the body of senators, he appointed, it's right now, I think 19. It says 21 there, but I think it's 19. I had a couple entries in there twice in a blank row. You know how these spreadsheets they get crazy. It's somewhere, it's about 20. It's about 20 people.
The console accounting.
Yeah. So you each have a handout in your folder called the Council of Consuls, and it lists all the positions. And several of them have a name by them. Those ones are taken.
I get it.
And when Steve and I sat down, and I mean, a lot of these are NPCs that have been in our stories and our games and stuff like. Well, but a bunch of them were just, we don't know who this person is really. So let's let PCs play these.
Yeah. Does T.A. Swift do autographs?
Yeah, I noticed that.
Immediately.
Yeah, Imperial Council of Economics.
Yeah. I mean, she is boosting in every city she goes to.
If I stay as the Consul of Revenues, does that mean I get to chop?
You get to meet T.A. Swift.
Is that a person? I'm guessing this is like what?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift?
T Swift.
Taylor goes by T.A.?
No, I mean,
it's like
right
T.
now.
Swift.
T Swift.
And T.A. Taylor.
No, it's
What does the TA stand for if not Taylor Swift?
Taylor A. Swift.
I'm not going to tell you.
I mean, yeah, because the dragons went.
His character like, hey Taylor, and they're like, what?
The dragons were like, we need the best thing to fight the dwarves.
Bring the Swifties.
Strongest warrior. And they were like,
I never heard her from the vault castles crumbling. She was ready for that.
Welcome
Yeah.
to Taylor Swift-Aroki.
yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
but like literally.
So,
It's not that Taylor Swift
the
reference.
Council
My
of
bad.
Consuls
Making a note. I'm not.
is about 20. The Council of Consuls, these people are senators, but their full-time job is this council administering a department of effectively the federal government. And they, to have this job, they have to relocate to Saratof and live in the imperial capital, which is this city right here. And there's an inset of it. The palace, there's a Senate discourse, and the palace and so on. Anyway, and it meets weekly. And you've all been on this council for some period of time. So you know the other council members. I'm not going to go through the list. I will spare you that. But feel free to, I think I probably should write up and give to you a paragraph on each one of them so you'd have it to refer to. But you can certainly ask questions about any of them. There's a couple of them I will touch on real quickly because of how important they are to the council. Boguslav Tihomir. Boguslav is old. He was when Kradava's rise to power before he became emperor, his first once he graduated from the Contubernium, which was the military, like West Point for the Legion, from the kingdom that's inspired by Rome, which is Latium, which is there, and there's the Condiburnum. He graduated, of course, at the top of his class, and he was recruited by Boguslav Tiomir to be part of his gang as the Grand Prince of Rus, and he immediately suggested, "Hey, let's go to war." Of course. let's. Who are we next to? Let's go wipe them out. And so that's how far they go back. And Kordava put a lot of trust in Boguslav as the guy. Boguslav was his ruler, and when Emperor Kordava at some point had to have a little talk with him, saying, "Hey, you're king of Rus. That's great, and I'm going to be emperor of the world, and you're still going to be the Grand Prince of Rus." But I'm leapfrogging over you, and Boguslav was smart enough to go along with it, and so Boguslav has always navigated that where a lot of people wouldn't have been able to, and he chairs the Senate, and he chairs the Council of Consuls. So you are used to him running meetings, because sometimes the emperor doesn't come to council. I mean, he comes often, but sometimes he's off. Well, some of you have played Engraver's Dig, a continent called Samaria, which is. I'm going to use the one F-bomb. It's bumfuck compared to where you guys are at.
That's why we get away with everything we get away with.
There's a one F. In Samaria, there is an active open gate to the Chaos Plains. I think you may have heard me mention that.
got vampires and
There's
stuff.
at least twice during Kordava's reign as emperor, he had to go down there and kill some Chaos Lord coming through the gates.
You gotta do it, right?
And just so he might have missed council meeting that week.
Gosh darn it.
Gotta fill
Always
them in.
calling out. Put a padlock
Every
on.
kingdom has a local military for patrolling borders and basically dealing with monsters and policing to some extent. But since there's no big, major, significant wars, those militaries have diminished over time. There's also an imperial military, which is the military that Kordava used to take over the world. And there's Kordava's legions, and they are run by legate, or a legatus, singular. These are powerful people on a military sort of way, right? So just be aware of that. One of them sits on the council with you, and that's Tarsus. Tarsus is technically all the legati of Kordava's legions, technically they all report to Kordava, the emperor. Each of them has sworn an oath to the emperor to serve the emperor. But not to foreshadow it, but with the emperor not being here, how much attention are they going to pay to Tarsus or not? I'm just saying that's a question. And it's no secret. You all know the premise of what we're going to do is that Kordava is assassinated. Now we're going to talk about that after you've created your characters. We'll go, but that's what is going to happen. And so the basic storyline here is what happens to an empire when the god emperor dies. Okay, so Kordava gets assassinated. What is the role of the Senate after that? What is the role of the council? What is the future of these bodies? What is your future? If there's no empire and you're a consul, what is that? What are you?
Yeah.
And you were appointed by this, by the way. You were appointed, if you're on the council. So who has decided to play? I have demanded that 3 players play consoles. So Marcus, Bonsai, 4. We have 4 consoles.
That's like.
Awesome. Okay. Nope.
No. Don't leave me hanging. Give me a high five.
Holy cow.
You suggested contact.
You're all gonna be. I
I thought
apologize.
we'd have to arm wrestle to get 3 of them. We got 4 consoles. That's great. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Let me look at my stuff, my list of things I'm supposed to talk about. Safety tools. Okay, so we do take safety importantly here, and I've talked with each of our players, except Ray, who came in late, so I'll give you a chance to jump in. We will not use any of the topics that are against YouTube and Twitch content guidelines. So no sexual assault, no violence towards children, and no torture. We have added to that as a group a no torture of children. That probably
Feels
is
like
not.
violence
That's probably animals. Torture of animals. Actually, that's probably not. That probably would be a violation of Twitch guidelines
It
too.
would be. It would be.
But we don't even want to talk about them.
Yeah. We also use lines and veils. So if something comes up that you're not comfortable with, just X card me, and we can talk about whether it's a line, which is something that won't come up in our stories at all. If it's a veil, it just means that we'll treat it with sensitivity and kind of like in 1950s movies when they had the sex scenes, they cut to ocean waves against the beach.
Depends on which movies you're watching.
That's a
from the
veil.
70s, though.
Oh, yes,
Ironically, we will not be doing that for the sex scenes. Just really vivid. Yeah.
So, Ray, would you like to add anything to that? Not to put you on the spot, but I didn't get a chance.
No, that covers everything for me.
Okay, great. Okay. I'm looking at my list of things to talk about. So I see a couple of you are in the chat, so it's hard for me to scroll back. So if you see something Sarah says that I need to know, please.
She yelled at you for spoilers. That's about it.
Oh,
And PG-13.
I did
She
not.
also yelled about
I did not need to know that. that does not hit the threshold.
You hear that, Sarah?
Let us know. We'll shout it out. Just like
Okay.
Sarah, just add to your message, like,
Shout it.
important. Shout at
Yeah.
Peter.
Shout at
So we
Peter.
know.
Put it in all caps.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about tone.
Yes.
Because we're having a lot of fun and we're laughing. Yes, great. That's fabulous. Okay, I do
Wow.
want to sometimes be able to turn that off and have dramatic scenes.
Well, you put
Where
me and
we-
Lexi across from
I
each
know.
other. That's not even our fault.
I know. But I also know that you love me and that if I ask that of you, you will do
Accurate.
that for me.
No,
So
all right.
We're pulling that
I
card.
do
up.
want
I'm
to.
so
Yeah.
proud, Dad.
It's got
This is going to be a game where we have fun, but sometimes we go into immersive. I want the characters to be. I want there to be good drama. I want the characters to be kind of serious characters. I mean, they are serious characters. These are characters that are important to the political future of Chaldea. And they're, for looking at Ray and Bryce for a moment, and Sarah, your characters are not consuls, but they need to there has to be some reason why it would be, where they would be allowed in the palace, officially recognized and allowed in the palace. Like they have and I'm willing to have a pretty broad, any reason that really makes sense. But I don't want the story to be, I don't want a character to be, well, I'm just Joe Blowguard, or I work in catering, And now you can, I respect that you can create a story where a character of low status sort of accidentally gets caught up in big events, but that doesn't hold very long, that sort of story, right? I want these characters to, you need to be able to go, if you want to talk to Boguslav Tiamir, if you want to talk to the head of the council, you need to be able to do that, right? Now you better have a reason to, right?
Do you want to know my reason now?
Well, no, not yet.
I got you.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Well, let's. I just wanted to get through. Those are actually. No, that's a good transition. If you have an idea, save it for just a moment
Okay.
though, because I want to.
I'll hold it in.
Just
Shut
yeah,
up for a
yeah,
bit? Okay,
good.
cool.
Initiative, bad judgment.
Okay, I'm just like making sure we got that. We got that. And we got that. Okay, good. Great,
Yeah.
great.
You've upset him.
No, that's what I do with lists. When I have a to-do list and I finish it, I rip it up and I throw it over my
satisfying,
shoulder. It's
actually.
very, exactly very satisfying.
Go home, rip some
I
of
think
your
I can
things
put
up.
this away. Everybody understands that the Council of
little
Consuls is a subset of the Senate. Also, there are people who are important who are not in the council, right? And so for sure. Yeah.
Do we have a ceiling camera now? Have we always had that?
Yeah, we have a.
It's been there for a while.
Yeah, it's been there for a while. It hasn't been always, but yes, we do have a. Is it?
Right there.
Okay, so I'm going to put this aside.
point at the camera.
I'm not going to rip it up though.
Yeah, you might want to rip that one
I'm
off.
going to fold it.
It's nice.
Fold the camera.
Not angry anymore.
It's a bloody mess back here behind me. I'm just going to say. Wow, what do we do next? Okay, well, I'm going to sit down now that I've done all that stuff, and we're going to, as a group, this session is now devoted to creating these characters. So what you'll see is, and I love this. What it is everybody's diving into the books. Everybody be asking questions. You probably not great for streaming in the sense that we'll probably be talking over each other a lot, and I'll be trying to answer questions. It's going to be a mess, but it's really fun. This is a magical moment, creating characters together. I'm happy you're all here with me. Thank you. Thank
We
you.
only have
Thank you.
one dedicated NPC though. That was in the rules.
Oh, yeah.
We get all one dedicated NPC. That's what they said.
Oh, did I write that? Or what? Is that
No, that's the book.
She's like, I read the book.
what? Dedicated NPC?
Dedicated NPC.
That way,
Huh?
if let's
What are you
say our
talking about?
character needs to go off and I'm going to spend the day doing something else, I could have my boy Giuseppe come in.
Wait, isn't it also like a negative thing
It's a
too?
relationship.
Yeah.
What's happened? Yes, it's called a relationship.
Because it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good relationship.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be a good
Because if you don't spend enough, you're going to have a bad relationship.
Yeah.
So the little tabs have.
Okay, so let me. I'm going to grab my book.
And if you want a copy of the PDF, you can go online to burningwheel.com and drop $20. It's pretty great.
I think my book is over there. I'll be back.
I am going to be Peter now. Pardon me.
Take over.
Soon.
Okay, cool.
Really, just like all the way off?
Is this mine?
Just the top.
Just the DeVito baby that we saw?
If you sit there, I will be asking you burning wheel questions. So
Okay, go ahead.
how do I make a character?
Oh, here's mine.
So it's called, the character
have
creation is
tabs
called
in mine,
burning,
so-
by the way. Character burning. So how do you
did read
burn
that.
your character?
Yeah.
Turn to page 77 in your book. Oh God, teacher's here.
What happens when the God Emperor dies?
Marcus takes a seat.
Immediately sits in his throne.
Someone steps forward.
I'm the God Emperor.
Look at my legs.
And by the way, I have a tendency to forget, like, oh, this really important thing I was going to do, and I forgot to do it. So I'm putting it out there. At the end of this session, I'm going to have a survey for each of you to fill out.
Yes.
Where you're going to share with me some of your feelings about certain topics related to the Empire. So let me be sure and let me get that to you.
In character or out of character? Feelings about the Empire.
Yeah.
In character?
Well, it's as a as a player, you're explaining what your character's beliefs
Yeah.
are.
In character.
Yeah.
Okay, in character. Gotcha.
So I don't want to forget that, and I also want to check after we're off camera, find out who's talking about scheduling
Sounds
a little
good.
bit. So anyway, before we all leave.
So before
that.
we end
So-
the stream, the on-camera portion of the stream, you want to make sure that you hand us the survey.
Yep, and we do
Awesome.
it. Yeah,
That's the
we're going
last
to do
thing
the
we do on
survey.
survey.
So, yeah, that's going to be
Got
like,
it in my head.
a thing that we do at some
Production brain.
point. It doesn't have to be the last thing. I just want to make sure, but it's too early now. Okay, so we're going to go through the character creation process. And we're going to go through and we're going to talk about each step. And the idea is that I don't expect you to create your character as quickly as we go through it. Like, I'll spend a little time, especially on Life Pass, give you a little time to work on that a bit. But feel free to go, let me be able to keep the conversation going. Feel free to come back to it. Don't feel like anything is locked in tonight. Like
Okay.
you can take some time between now and whenever you play again to refine. It would be helpful if you kind of stayed with the same concept of a character, but even if you decide, shit, man, I just don't want to do this, I'm not feeling it, I'm gonna start over, you can do that. But just work with me on that so that I know.
That's fair.
That completely different
right.
character. Like, hello, I'm the court chef.
I'm the court chef. I have a gun now.
So, character burning starts with what's called a character concept. And I do find that with new players, this can be a little intimidating because it's kind of it's great for experienced players. It really helps. If you know burning wheel really well, you can kind of say, oh, I have this concept of a character, and you can dive into the life paths and get there because you know what's going to work and what's not. But I think in this case, I know that we have 4 consoles already picked, and I know you're eager to tell me.
Oh, I'm so stoked.
So we're going to start with character concept, and I think I'm going to the extent you're comfortable sharing that with me, I'm going to invite you to tell me, at least like your, and for your consoles, you can elaborate, but mainly I just want to know primarily I want to know which console position you're taking. So Marcus, you're taking the...
I believe I'm going to be taking the Samasia Imperial Console of Commerce.
Okay, Imperial Console of Commerce. So you are from, Somatia.
Samatia.
Yep.
Samatia.
Somatia
greatest place in
is
the world.
loosely inspired by the Hittites,
Oh, okay.
which are one of the primary cultural elements of Turkey.
Okay.
So it's pre-Ottomans. Their big moment of glory in real world was when they defeated Ramses II, drove back the Egyptians in the
Okay.
Battle of Kadesh. Big moment. But anyway, I digress because I love Middle Eastern history. By the way, if you don't know that about me, there's a lot of Middle Eastern ties in this in the background. Okay, so you're playing and summation,
Yes.
and that word is not a particularly good Hittite word, but it was the name of that place in my campaign for so long I just couldn't bear to change it. Okay, bonsai.
Oh, I am playing the Imperial concept with public safety
Oh,
from the
good.
Kingdom of Andalus.
Okay. Oh, male or female?
Male. Yes.
She's a lady.
Female. And
That's it.
So,
Before we get copyrighted.
You're right.
The one line.
Andalus is inspired by the Moors of Spain, the 10th century, the Caliphate of Spain. It's very difficult to disentangle that from Islamic tradition and culture, but we do, because I don't use anything from real contemporary religions in my world. So there's no Islam, there's no Buddha, there's no Jesus, there's only the polytheistic pantheons from way back. So so an important difference in terms of a cultural reference is you basically go back towards polytheistic Arab religions like the Qurayshites or something, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, but you don't need to. You can leave that to me if you like. But if you think about if you ever look at like Moorish, like the Spain, the cities in Spain, like Granada and the Alhambra, so it'll give you a real good feel for the country you come from. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
I remember you did a path in Spain. Yeah.
I did the pilgrimage.
There's a lot of Moorish
There was a lot.
stuff in Spain. Yeah, it's great.
Jelly.
All right,
Mad jelly.
Megan.
Yeah. I am the Imperial Consul of Cartography. The dotted
love
lines,
that.
if you recall. That was me. I came up with the name Giant Ditch. That was also me.
Something else.
Same.
No,
I heard
really
Giant
like
Ditch.
it's like Shiraz Coast and like I don't know, Mugan Plain, and then it's like Giant Ditch.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a giant ditch,
But
Anyway.
if you look at maps of the world,
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a giant
you
ditch.
find names like that.
Was it
Yeah.
big hole?
Yeah.
Big hole.
We sprinkled a
Nice
few.
lady.
There's some great ones in there, especially in
Giant ditch.
Parent. But anyway,
Ah.
what's your gender and ethnicity?
Female, Rouge.
Oh, good.
Oh no.
I have special little strings on the people of Rouge.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Well, in addition to being your Senate chair, he's also your king.
Right, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Bogotov.
Yeah,
Bogotov.
Boguslav.
What do you call him?
Bogotov. I don't know.
Just call him Bogo. He likes when you call him Bogo.
Yeah, that's like a little joke we have.
Grand,
Yeah.
Grand, Grand Prince Tihomir is how you
Yeah,
address it.
Grand Prince
Grand
Tiamat.
Prince.
Old
Yeah.
bogey.
Oh.
That's
Coming in hot.
so. Rouge is inspired by 11th, 10th, 11th pre-Mongol invasion Kiev. Rus, sort of. We think of Russian culture is centered around Moscow, but before that, there was an era where Russian culture was centered around Kiev, current Ukraine. Huh? Ironic.
Kiev.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but when anyway, so
Yeah.
that's your cultural reference
All
point.
right.
Ooh.
Lexi.
Yes.
Yes.
I will be playing a female who is the consul of the penal code. So next time, you park illegally before 8 p.m. during rush hour, I'm the reason your car is getting towed.
Wagon.
Yeah, your wagon's getting towed.
Chariot.
Horses and
Your
everything.
carless wagon.
That's why that's a 500 gold fine. So for ethnicity, so on the, I spread out. I'm sorry. Don't
No,
sit next
great.
to me. This is how I operate.
You're Parse, right?
Yeah.
It says Pars here, and it says Kingdom of
Hakamanich?
Yes.
Yep.
Hakamanich.
The people
Okay.
of Hakamanich are called Parse.
Cool. Got it.
Yep.
Just want to make sure.
Okay, yep. Hakamanich is inspired by Persia.
Oh.
Okay, so yeah.
Any Persians in the house?
So yeah,
You know?
Here you go.
One of us.
and you can see where it's at on this map. So
Yeah, the
Hakamanich
great
is
ditch is over here.
yeah,
Ditch ours?
No one's in the Great Ditch. Everything the Great Ditch covers.
and here's Rouge.
Everything the great.
Oh,
And you can see the imperial capital is in Rouge. And let's see. And Andalus is there under all the pencils.
Oh.
Yep.
Andalus is gross.
And
We definitely weren't
Samatia's
at
not.
war 40 years
Samatia's
ago.
on the map. Actually, it's on the map that's connected
sorry.
off that way.
I'm going
So
to the World of Chaldea website to find a better.
it's
some more
about
maps.
it's about
Oh,
where
no,
Lexi's
I
lap
have
is.
great
That would be
Great ditch is
No, I think we split the giant.
Samatia.
No, it's mine.
Oh, look at the dotted line.
But look at the yellow lines.
Yeah, the
Which
yellow.
one's matter,
We're
cartographer?
already getting yeah, you're the cartographer.
Yellow lines
You
are
need to
roads.
decide.
Dotted line is my idea. That's the line of the evening so far. The dotted line was my idea. Steve, you gotta love that. Steve is grinning ear to ear. I don't even have to ask him if you like that one. I just know. Okay, Ray, I know nothing about what you might be thinking.
Yeah. I mean, like, we're going to be making some stuff here, but I do want to be from Hakamanich, the one you're
Hakamanich?
from.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
Pars.
Are you male or female?
They, them.
They okay, sure, great.
I'm going to have some fun.
Do you have an idea for the character, or you just want to work with the life paths and see?
Coming from slightly humble means and working my way up from
Yeah.
extreme ambition
Okay.
through leverage, if I may.
I'll learn more when you pick your life path. All right, Bryce.
So, my character will be he, him. And I'm thinking that I'm going to be an aide to Lulfroth. The Elder Dragon.
Oh wow!
The Grand
Vizier?
So like when the dragon doesn't fit in the room,
I'm his voice. I got this.
You mentioned something to me before we started, like when we first got here, and I can see this path that you're already taking. I am so
Right?
excited for this.
Okay. What do you think, Steve? I think we can work with that.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then I'm going to be his aide and mouthpiece. I was thinking about being like an artificer type of thing. Like, what is? I don't know. I work with this dragon. He has me make all these little sweet toys and magic stuff. Thank you.
And Court Wizard.
So,
Is that the life path you're thinking there?
does Court Wizard have to be my end?
No.
Okay,
no,
so
no.
I was looking at
Definitely not.
Mad Summoner as the end point. Like, he was a Court Wizard, and then he started working with this dragon. He went a little crazy. And he's just like, no, don't worry about it. I
Yeah.
can build it.
Yeah, no, you just so let's go to life paths. And
Sarah said something.
oh yeah,
yeah.
yes, yes,
Sorry. So
yes. Let's
sorry.
hear. Yes, let's hear about Sarah.
How close to an elf warden can I be? And she will be a she/her.
Okay, an elf
Warden.
wording.
WARDEN.
Yeah.
A warden.
Oh,
Yeah,
warden.
Warden. That's how I spell it out.
you
So I
know.
know I have a little bit of a text file.
I feel that. I got slapped too.
You got slapped? No. You didn't get slapped, I'm sure. I think that's probably great. But you're also going to be in the royal family, Sarah, right? You know that?
That's it. No more.
No, she knows that.
timer.
We talked about
Yeah.
that before. I'm sure it's fine because you have a lot more flexibility for this character than I'm giving everybody else. Because,
Favorites.
Sounds about right.
Obviously.
yeah.
Oh, just because Sarah's
Obviously, I'm going to be royal.
whatever.
Yes, royal. Yeah.
Do the hair.
I mainly need you to be very important to the royal family of Direwood. So that's and somebody that the family would send to Saratof to raise some concerns. Yeah, that's what I need from you, Sarah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about life paths. Primarily, if I can borrow
Yeah, I'm close. One.
Marcus, yeah, if I can borrow. I just want to point out a couple things which you probably found, but if you're playing an Imperial console, so if you're watching and you're a Burning Wheel fan, we created a life path called the Imperial console, and I got some help from Chloe on the Burning Wheel Discord channel. Thank you, Chloe.
We love this.
So I think this actually has some corporate approval from Burning Wheel headquarters. If you to become an Imperial consul, you have to be a senator. Now, either one of you could also be a senator if you wanted to be, but it may not fit life path wise for you. To be a senator, you have to have by life path 5 to be a consul, but somewhere in your life path to be a senator, you have to either take municipal minister, magnate, and that's what this handout here talks about, chamberlain, duke, court sorcerer, or justiciar. I probably mispronounced that, but justicar.
I like saying Justicar.
I always thought it was just a car. but, like,
Listen, I played a lot of Mass
Just-
Effect.
Just
That's a word they say a lot.
Justicar is not a Justicar is not a real world word title. It's not. It's made up
yeah,
in
great.
fantasy.
It's a fake word, sorry,
Justiciar.
everybody.
Yeah, sorry.
It's like mischievous.
Justiciar. Anyway,
When it's
so.
pronounced that
dare
way,
you.
I'm like,
First of all,
So if you're going to be a senator, which you four are, then by life path 5, you have to take one of those 5 things. Okay, you have to get there, and you have to spend a trait point. And this isn't in your book, which is why I'm calling attention to it. You have to spend a trait point for Imperial Senator. Okay, so that's a commitment to spend a trait point. You guys can do the same thing, but you don't. Then you just don't do the part about taking the Imperial Consul as a life path. So, having Senator as your as a trait is the prerequisite to being Imperial Consul. Okay, there we go. That's my rules thing. Get out of the way.
I already know the path. Oh, those are just examples. I thought we had to choose from one of these. Okay,
You
that's
just
helpful
have
though.
to end up at
Yeah, use
one
that
of the
that way,
ones
to
right
the
before
right.
I might just
Imperial Console.
take one of those.
Yeah, that seems like
If you, yeah. Are you still thinking a priest?
I was actually, now that I am in the penal
priest cop?
code, not cop, worse. I'm trying to tell you.
I would make an exception and say, as a priest, you could be that you.
Priest cop.
I get to be the exception.
You're going to be an exception if you want. If you want to be, if you want to go with, the idea is priest of Set.
Oh.
Basically, no one's allowed to disagree with me or you're evil. By law.
Oh God, that's
Disagreement banished.
This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun.
No pressure. I was just saying, if you want, if you
want it. I want it
changed your
very
mind
bad.
because you weren't worried.
No, that's great. I want that.
Are the
Okay.
cameras picking up her crazy eyes? I can't tell.
I don't think they're able to right
no,
now.
not yet, not yet.
They're crazy. Okay.
I'm ready.
It's
Not
not your
what you
fault.
want in a priest cop.
Priest cup.
Hey, Sarah, give me a page number for Elf Warden, and I'll look that up.
I'm so old.
Why am I helping this instead of doing my thing?
So feel free to,
I gotta write
as you
down.
guys are working on your life paths right now,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
if you have questions, just air them. Just like, hey, got a question?
How do I do that thing we were just talking about?
All of it, the whole.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
you're
Wait, do we-
gonna want
Village board
to
or city board?
get a life path of priest, and I'm wondering if there is like a super priest life path.
If there is a super priest life path, I will actually change my whole game.
It was.
You want to get into the religious subsetting?
Yeah, there was
probably.
there was one I was looking at. It was like, here we go, venal priest,
Oh.
which is specifically
Oh.
priest that takes bribes and stuff.
Yeah, that sounds like you.
I think.
Not bribes.
A venal priest.
Oh yeah, they can be. Hold on, I googled the word
here we
venal
go.
earlier because I didn't know what it meant.
Here we go. Archpriest is probably.
Get much
Am I the
extra
only
on
one?
So much.
Okay.
See, venal, showing or
Abbot,
motivated by
bishop.
susceptibility to bribery.
Yeah.
I'm literally by definition a bribe me priest.
Yeah.
Okay, let's. Okay, so I think the question is. Let's see.
Paperwork.
Yeah, so I would steer you towards having. I mean, you're going to have enough life paths, 6 life paths. You're going to easily be able to pick up. You can do the venal priest and do archpriest and bishop if you want. But
Are you
probably
still going down the back?
bishop. You should
Yeah.
probably get to bishop, right? Bishop has archpriest as a prerequisite. Archpriest has temple priest, or priest, or court priest. Yeah, you've got plenty of life paths that you could throw in something fun in the middle of all that and still get.
So can
to
I
get
go
there.
from venal priest to archpriest?
So I don't see why not. Let's see. Wait, archpriest requires temple priest.
Oh no.
Can you get that? Or itinerant priest or priest?
God.
Where's
I'm-
venal priest?
You have to be a bad priest first.
Venal priest isn't even
The
under
only
religion.
the only way I was able to find that was
It's a
like,
villager setting.
Yeah.
No, it's just like a villager.
Okay, well you could go. You could be born village, venal priest, and then jump to then you.
And do something feral.
You were probably a venal priest to a different god, and then became converted to Set.
I'm super down. Can I have been a venal priest to a made-up god?
Yeah. Well,
like
I
a fake
would.
cult, kind of like.
Oh, like a cult
made up a
leader.
god.
You just made up a cult leader.
I
Yeah,
love
you were a
that.
cult
Made one
leader.
up.
You can take cultist.
You can take cult leader.
I did want to take cultist. Cultist was on my wish list.
Okay, you take cultist. Take cultist, and I'm sure there's a way of getting over to the religious subsetting from there.
So
I mean, that just writes itself.
I just don't know. Oh my
when
god.
it says required, you have to have one of those tags.
One of those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the first. Okay, like,
Does because I'm looking at scholar.
Okay, I get it. Sarah, yeah. So you're thinking warden as a title, not as life path. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. If you want that as a title, take it as a 1-point trait. Warden of something. You could be the warden of the dire wood. That would be great. Warden of the dire wood, if you like. Or anyway, so
So I'm thinking about taking scholar, which requires
Perfect.
a sorceress life path.
okay.
Is arcane devotee
Yeah.
count? Okay, I just want to make sure because I didn't
Yep.
see sorceress in there, but it's
Yeah.
arcane devotee.
Yep.
okay, so
I'm sure that was. Yeah, you have a question for me?
yeah, no, actually, because as you said, this is just going to be our 6th path, so we just got to make sure we count the points towards it.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so Bonsai, you had a question that made me think. Okay, let's talk about how to use these sheets. Can I borrow a?
Here, I'll give you
this
mine
one?
because I'm working on it
The
too.
character burner. Actually.
You got this.
Also, I've got a Sarah question for you.
Okay.
Would it make more sense for me to be Citadel-born or Ethark-born? Ethark?
Ethark.
Those are the,
Ethark born.
Hey, was I right the first one?
Ethark
I'm
is
writing
in the
on the
middle.
wrong
Yeah.
page. I
Yeah.
realized.
nailed it.
Okay.
Wow.
Everybody, if I can have your attention for a moment. So for character, let me borrow this too. Okay, you have 2 sheets of paper in your folder that have to do with creating characters. Okay, this is a character sheet. Do not work on your character sheet yet.
Yep.
Okay, put that aside.
Badoo.
You have
Away.
this is what's called a character burner.
Yes.
This is a worksheet for creating a character, and it's going to get really messy with lots of crossing outs and stuff like that. That's why we have pencils. The idea is that when you're done creating your character, you will take all the stuff that you calculated here and add it up and put it on your character sheet, and you'll throw this away.
Perfect.
I find that I wouldn't necessarily throw it away. I find it's actually useful to keep this around just in case. So this is your character burn, and we are going through in the order of that. So as you pick your life paths, you're writing your life path, starting with born somewhere, born in a village, born in a city, born in whatever. You will find these headings: time, leads, RES for resource points. By the way, there's a potential confusion trap here. There's a thing called resource points, which is what you're getting in character creation and character burning that you're going through right now. You're going to add up what are called RES, which stands for resource points. At the end of character burning, you will create what's called your resources attribute,
Gotcha.
which is different. Okay, so just warning of potential confusion trap. Your stat mods, how many skill points you get, and how many general skill points you get. You tend to only get general skill points from your first life path. And the general skill points are precious because those are the points that allow you to pick up skills outside your life paths.
Okay.
So have these are like little pieces of gold. Those 3 points, those are 3 little pieces of gold that get. And then trait points. So as you're picking your life paths, you write all this stuff down, okay? And then we'll talk about what you do after that once it looks like a lot of you have done that.
Yep.
I like the idea of a messy sheet of paper that is not the sheet you get to play off of. Because that is usually what my character
I already
sheets turn into
started it on
anyway.
like a blank sheet because I feel like I'm so messy.
Yeah.
I need to go from the blank sheet to
Yeah.
the messy sheet. To the
That's why I have so many pieces of
And then I'm
paper.
going to put it on this one.
Yeah.
And Sarah, I'm double checking the Citadel versus Ethark question, but I'm pretty sure you want to start with Ethark as the.
What does M and P stand for again?
Okay, so your stats are divided into 2 pools called the mental pool
Okay, yeah.
and the physical pool. The mental pool has 2 stats, will and perception, and the physical pool has 4 stats. And they're over on the right side. The section you're filling out right now, if you look over to the right of that, you'll see a place called stats, and you'll end up adding up those MP numbers to create what is your mental pool and your physical pool, and then you'll divide those between your mental pool. You'll divide into perception and will, and your physical pool you'll divide into agility, speed, fort, and whatever the other one is.
Agility, speed, fort, power.
Power.
For the lead, is it just the number of things? So lead for born. I'm not born peasant. Why am I even looking at that? Gross.
Yeah, you might almost. I think it's.
So
Yeah, leads are what you actually write down here. Oh, yeah, boy, it's coming back to me. It's been a while. Yeah, you're not supposed to write down all those words in that tiny little box. What you're going to figure out there is if you change settings by following a lead, you put the number 1 there. Otherwise, you leave it blank.
Okay.
So we can ignore it.
So it should be
Bit,
blank on the
or-
first one.
Unless, I guess, if we change, like, what if?
No, if you're born peasant,
Yeah.
and then your next life path is that you go to the city.
Yeah.
Okay, you would put a 1 under lead
Gotcha.
in born
Okay.
peasant, right? And what it is you're going to add that to your age. So every time you change settings, it penalizes your age by a year.
Okay.
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 And then the other question was general on our sheet is that. Let's see, we have skills, so I get 4 points for being a
general
city-born
points?
dude, and then
Yeah. Hold on. Sarah, yes. Ethark. Ethark is like being the human equivalent of born noble. So as you are part of the royal family of the Dire Wood, you'll even notice that there is an Ethark life path, even though Ethark is also an ethnicity of elves, and you're not required to take that. But I think, yeah, I think that works. If you find trouble with it, let me know. I'm not as familiar with the high life path elven options as I should be. All right, Bryce, you were asking?
so just looking at city dweller, I have age 12 years.
Yep.
I have 0 leads. Or
Zero
not applicable.
because you're going to stay in the city.
Well,
for your
since
next life
this is the
path.
first one, right? Or,
Yeah. So if your next life path is in the city, then that's a 0.
Okay.
If your next
So I'm
life
trying to
path
figure out how to do this
is
too.
you're following the leads to court or outcast or something, then you would put a 1 there.
Okay.
In that one there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then resource actually need more, so it'll be 10.
Yep.
Then stat is
Just leave it blank.
not applicable. And then
Yep.
skill.
Skill down here, 4 points, general. So you
Okay.
put them in the gen. Yep, you did that right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And,
And then traits will be 1 because 1 trait.
yep. There you go.
I'm excited to ask you the same questions in about a second.
Great.
I am trying to find a way. I don't know how much like storytelling wiggle room we have in some of these life paths.
Not much.
That's what I'm kind of realizing throughout my notes. I do want to get her to archpriest and bishop, but it requires a lot of like doing the right thing to get there, and there's not a lot of room to sneak in like cultist.
Well,
There we go.
Figure that out.
can I take a look at what you're kind of toying with and see what you have? Can I see your
God.
the scribble
read it.
page before the messy page?
Nice one. You just start somewhere else before somewhere else.
Okay, it looks like
Because I think
know-
venal priest
then we
actually
have to
counts as
pick a random one
priest
in
for a
Oh no, it should be.
requirement.
I think
I would
Or-
yeah.
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 Okay.
No, it's got the word priest in it.
Yeah,
So that's fine.
But but to get to venal priest, I need like I don't know if I can go from
Oh, that
cultist
one's
to
a shorter
venal priest.
lifespan. You didn't.
Oh,
Like I just really want her to be like a con
Because
man
you're
who ended up
born
with a lot
1,
of
2,
power,
3,
but like
4, 5,
definitely
6.
lied her way there.
I think that's an oversight. I think
Oh, I
cultist
just
leads
had-
to
so you
venal
get-
priest.
Okay, that's how I feel. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's an oversight. Luke, you missed that one.
sorry, Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happened next time.
We're not breaking the rule. We're
Obviously.
just fixing the rules.
Yeah,
It's mending.
we are
If you go
drawing the logical
from,
conclusion.
like city to another and then back to city, it will cost you a lead each time,
Yep.
right? Okay, cool.
Dang.
Every time you switch.
where we
Question
started.
for you.
Yeah.
Some of these like preset ones that you gave us
Yeah,
only have 5.
Yep.
Does that mean we like if we're following this, we get to like sneak another one in, or we can like
Yeah.
switch any of these out as long as we get here?
Yeah.
This is just a
Yeah.
sample. Okay.
Those are just examples. Yeah.
Okey dokey.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
All my papers.
Yeah, I think one of them gets her in 4, right?
Yeah, one of them
gets
her real
the
quick.
magnet.
Yeah.
Or the money guy, the money
Yeah.
option.
No, it's 5 as
The
well.
money makes it
Yeah.
faster.
Ain't that the truth? You know what else helps? Deception.
No
General.
room for me to be a
Oh, just
falconer
how
or
many
an
general points we
apiarist.
get for
Unfortunately.
I know. I considered butcher for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I could have been like city born, apiarist, pivot, clerk. You know, and then my mom was like, "What are you doing with all these names?"
What are you doing with this?
Figure it out. And you were
Bees.
like,
What
you're
is it
really
about
good at
bees?
drawing lines
Yeah, yeah.
and naming things.
I'm like, yeah, I named all the bees.
My first, not the first campaign I played in, but like sort of the first serious campaign I played in, I was a midwife, a village midwife.
yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
I need to bring up my
37
calculator
years
'cause-
old. Wow, so close.
So born city. Like my job is beach. Literally just like born city.
Your
That's
job
my
is beach.
Job is a beach.
like, is that how we do that? Just city.
I'm gonna scare Joe because I'm gonna leave the camera for a minute. But you got all of you beautiful people
Always on camera.
It's your turn. Watch out for the chords. Watch out for the chords. It's your turn.
Very yell at him.
Okay.
I could have been a dramaturge. Oh.
Any questions, anyone?
And I have a million gold.
Unfortunately, don't use gold.
I didn't have to go that
I
far.
like-
Use,
They're over here.
What is it?
Solution is
Platinum pieces.
Dang it.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, that sounds like a very confident answer. Thank you.
Yeah, we
sorry,
use
I put myself-
you're
rites
good.
of passage as well. Bearer bonds, no gold.
Okay.
Yep.
So, could you explain briefly the fork system?
Yeah, so
Sure.
forks are the opposite of spoons.
Here it goes. I love it. I love it. I should have stayed way longer. How that could have worked out. Yeah.
Oh, I like the spork system.
Not invented.
They're not a fantasy. Surprisingly, the forks are not a fantasy item. They're a real thing.
Okay, I'm just gonna follow the thing, but I'm gonna be a painter for a little while.
So I'm gonna steal Bonsai's suit this time. Okay. Sorry.
Calculating numbers.
I know. So I just want to tell you what you're gonna do next.
Yes.
I know. It's
Next?
I should
Who
have
said
had. I
next?
ran out of these. Otherwise, I'd have my own. I had exactly
Straight from
6.
city-born to cultist, or I have to stop somewhere in between.
Okay. So once you've done your life paths, the next thing you're do is you're gonna add them up, add the numbers up at the bottom. Okay. You're gonna figure out your age as being the years you spent. Is the total of time and leads. So if you have any ones in the leads column, like if you every time you switch settings, it adds an extra year to your life.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't think one said any.
You did the.
I did the
Yeah.
straight and narrow.
I think you stayed in the same life path, in the same setting the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
You're great. So you're gonna figure out your age. You're gonna figure out stats, but there's a house rule for you all
Yay.
who are.
Yay.
For those of you who were generous enough to pick an Imperial Consul,
Oh!
you have a little extra reward. Sorry, Ray and Bryce.
we don't get
I
rewarded.
know. Hey,
I
this
thought
is.
we had to split it so that there was half of us that were not.
Oh, no. Do you want to?
No. You can be the consul if you want to be.
Oh,
You could be revenues.
Do you want to be a consul?
I mean,
There's a couple that haven't been chosen. You could totally be a consul if you want.
I do like the revenues one.
I was gonna say, I'm surprised you didn't
Take
choose
it.
I
revenue.
mean,
Take it. Oh my gosh. I thought I was going to have trouble getting people to be consuls because.
Coincidentally, after he's like, you get something bonus. I actually think I
Actually,
could be
I
a good
do
consul.
want to be like, it's fine.
Because of the job.
So you're taking the consul
Revenue.
of what?
Revenues also.
Revenues.
It just has like a little life path that's
And-
already like laid out, and I love my work being done
And
for
you're
me.
the economist of
That's what I do.
commerce.
Commerce, yes.
Commerce.
like
We got commerce and revenues.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are going to know the dwarves,
Yes, the dwarf.
who are consul of the. One is the imperial treasurer, and the other one is the consul of the central bank. Yeah, I mean, 4 consuls have to do with money. I don't think that's a stretch. Okay, so those of you who are humans and
I think that's all of us, right? Except Sarah?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're all gonna be old.
Or
Okay.
of a perfectly respectable age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody.
Viewers at home.
on page
I'm aged at 41. No,
197.
Page 197.
Well, actually, I can just tell you these numbers. You actually don't. So your mental pool is going to be. You, as council members, have been given alchemical elixirs that have staved off the effects of aging, and you are as strong and fit as you were at the age of 25. What? And intellectually as strong as then as well. So, regardless of how, so
This says stats for men. Is there a weaker lady stat in here?
No, it's a stronger lady.
Yeah, it's good. It was a trap. Okay.
Yeah. I
25.
already
okay.
apologized once
No,
about
I know.
How many times do you want me to say sorry?
197.
some of the poor choices of words here. This book was written over 20 years ago. So.
Yeah.
So we get the elixir.
Okay, so
7
what it
points.
does is it means that you use the maximum numbers on this pool. They're on page 197. So
For age 25.
for all of you except Bryce,
Question?
you have mental pool of 7. That's base, and 16 physical. Then you add to that all the bonuses you got from your life paths.
Mental 7,
Right.
16 physical.
And it's probably obvious, but for a politically, socially oriented game, your mental stats are probably going to be. If you have a choice between mental, you might
gonna be
want.
ripped.
You might want to
Lifting
lead.
pins.
Although I think it will be interesting to have a character that's a strong warrior too.
Yeah.
So that might be
So for with
Bond's side.
M/T, you only can choose one of those.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
if it's-
mental or physical.
If it's
Yeah,
M,
yeah.
if it's M/P, you choose. If it's M, P, you get both. Okay, Bryce, you had a question.
Where exactly are they getting these magical alchemical things?
Oh, you're trying to negotiate for yourself? Oh.
Because
How
it
do I
kind of
steal
makes sense
one?
that the activities and laws relating to the supernatural would be.
Yeah, that's your boss.
Huh. And if I'm a mad creator who makes things,
You had to test it
Oh,
out.
are you the one
Okay,
making
so
them?
maybe.
Celebrated too
So
early.
Lexi and Bryce have called in their favor.
Wait, what was your favor?
You got to do the
Cultist?
weird. Oh, yeah.
I'm cool with that, yeah.
What's your favorite? Wait, we all get takers?
I already know my favorite.
By the way, that's forever.
Oh,
Well, I didn't know.
You want to be a cultist real
I want to be a cultist real
I
bad.
am a kind and generous DM.
It's okay.
I mean, I do want these characters. These characters are among the elite of the entire world, so I am inclined to be generous.
So I do have a different question that
Yes.
doesn't require favor. Knowing more about Lalfroth?
Laufrost.
Lalfroth.
I like love.
Yeah.
So would he
Yeah.
be more interested in a court wizard or
It's
like a
really
wizard
hard
of
to tell
war?
what he's interested in, even though you work for him.
Okay,
He's very greedy.
fair. So that,
He puts when people go visit them, and they write if the silverware, pen that they might use to write something. It all has magic spells on it. Like he knows if somebody steals them.
nobody takes my bank spread.
Nobody takes my. Yeah. So there is. So let me since Laufrost's name came up, I really want to describe this one thing, and I wanted to have it printed out as a piece of art, but I didn't get time. Anyway, the council chamber, which you will see an art of this in another time, but there's this beautiful chamber where you all meet, and above it is a mezzanine where Laufrost, who refuses to take a non-dragon form,
I was hoping.
he
nice.
lounges. He has a mezzanine built for him, as he is an elder dragon. He's an elder dragon. He was in
Good
the
luck.
Clawhammer War 1,000 years ago.
Oh, the one that we talked about at the
Okay.
beginning?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow.
He was there.
Just chilling here?
No, he's one of the consuls.
Oh.
He rarely speaks. But it is nerve-wracking to have this dragon above you.
Judging you. He only speaks if you have like a really bad haircut. He's just like,
Sometimes he kind of growls a little bit. He often nods off.
Nice.
But
Does
you
he
can't bring
breathe
that up.
like little flamelets when he snores?
He breathes acid.
Oh, definitely be
Not
careful
as
of that.
cute. Not as
A little less
Is it
adorable.
like acid snot bubbles, like
Oh my god.
we're desperate to love this dragon.
he's my bro.
Excellent.
We get along very well. This dragon. Oh my god.
Well,
Okay, so now we're doing.
yes. Okay, so you add up. So that's what those on the right here, your mental pool. If everybody look, Here's the mental pool, physical pool. If you haven't found them, and you divide those numbers. I would advise you not to I'm going to put a 1 in power so that I can have a 10 in fort.
Fort, not forte. Okay.
There's
Yeah.
no thing.
Yeah, you're right. There's no thing.
There is a in Burning Wheel, you can take damage that is a penalty to all your stats, and so
Wow.
your lowest stat is effectively like your hit points.
Okay.
So don't nerf yourself by putting a 1 or a 2 in something.
Okay.
You know, I don't recommend that.
We're
So
checking which
I would. I know you all have enough points that you can get to at least 3 in every stat, and maybe 4 in every stat. But since it's social, maybe it will never take damage. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is there
possible.
a Codex
Except
Duo?
you. I think every time there has to be a fight, they're going to send you in. I think.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, if you're the guy. I mean, you got it.
I got a
All those say
lot of-
swords.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought,
Yeah.
I thought oh, no.
Okay,
not top.
so let me
get this.
continue on with what you're going to do next, even though you're not quite there yet. Okay, when it comes to after figuring out the stats, and you can come back and massage this, as you figure out like, oh man, I really should have had a higher will or whatever. By the way, for a spell, did you stick with the? Yeah. You stick with the spellcaster. Yeah. Will is really important.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
so much mental strength here.
Yeah. Okay.
Very balanced.
So when you go to pick skills, when you're looking through your life path, what I would do, the way I would do this, is that I would write down on that list of skills. I would just write down all the skills that are on all your life paths, right? Okay. Just so you know, you don't have to take them all, but that's just a good list. Right? So all your skill points, except for the 3 or 4 general ones, all the skill points that you have to allocate to those skills. And you are required to take the first skill listed in the life path.
Okay, in each one.
So just the skills?
In each,
Oh, okay,
and
got
you're
it.
required to take the first trait listed in your life path.
Odd.
Okay.
Mad.
I'm a dangerous student.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Wait, with just the first one?
Dangerous
Yeah.
student.
Yeah.
Just the first one.
So,
First ones are required.
so note that, right? So
Okay.
yeah, sure.
So,
Yep.
so for an example, my Mad Summoner,
Yep.
his skills, he has 6 points, and it's Summoning, Enchanting, Demonology, and Imperalia.
Yep.
So
I am
have
a
to
beefy lady.
take 1 point of
Something else.
summoning
Yeah, you're
minimum.
Yeah,
to
you're
be
gonna
your tank, I
you're gonna
guess.
take all those. I would write all of them down on that list.
I have to go back through.
For 6 life path characters, you might have to use some scratch paper to do it. But I would write them all down so you know what the
Yeah.
list of things is that you need to
wanna
spend
test-
points
Is
on,
it, really?
and then you will and you will
I just need
spend at
to
least 1
punch hard.
point
I'm gonna make you
on
be a
summoning.
puncher for
Is
sure.
it
I'm gonna run away from
these
this.
6 points have to be dedicated to those?
No,
4
no.
skills? Okay.
That's very important. That you write down all the life paths and all the skills. You're going to end up with this body of like 30 or 40 skill points, 50. I don't know these 6 life path characters. But yeah, you don't have to go back and match the skill points to the
Okay.
skills that
Better to be well balanced.
that. You,
Oh, sorry,
okay,
no.
no, that's a good
Sorry,
question.
you were in the middle of conversation
Yeah,
and I was
no, that's great.
Yeah.
So I think I got out what I was going to say. So Bonsai brings up a good point. Is it good to be well balanced? So here's my recommendation on that. If you were low level characters, I would point out how fun it is to learn skills in this system, and that's great. And it will be. You at some point will try and do something you don't know how to do, and the rules for learning new skills in Burning Wheel are a lot of fun. And I don't mean like necessarily haha fun, the DM has fun, you don't. I think there's some of that. There's some of that throughout all of Burning Wheel. But it is that. But I like to do, when I'm creating a character, is to grab most of those skills. Like put 1 point in just about every one of them. I mean, inevitably there'll be some, like there's no way I'm ever going to use this skill, so I won't bother. But and then pick the ones that are really important to you and dump extra points into those.
Okay.
Okay?
I would have loved to have been doing that as I was going.
But you don't have to go along. You can wait. You can just list all the skills and then total up your
I
points.
mean, I wish I was listing the skills.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
so
wrote
by the
the
way,
page number of
Yes.
all of them so that I can just like, cool,
yeah,
it's
I,
on there.
I recommend going through, if you haven't done it already, on your life path sheet, write down the page number where you got the life
Yep.
path. Because even making making it even more awkward is that sometimes there's the same life, two or three life paths with the same name.
Yeah, Stu's in like 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
none of them are alphabetized.
No.
Yeah.
No, really
I
not.
got
Yes, bold.
I was
Yeah.
I was
I got
never town
heated.
official for like 20 minutes. Everyone was just like, why is it not alphabetized?
Okay, so question,
Yeah.
like, so for
Yeah, sure.
for City Born, it says
Yeah.
skills 4 points general.
Right, those
what-
are those precious points that you can spend outside your skill list.
Okay.
Right. So when you total up at the bottom of that sheet, your total, you're in the GEN column, you're going to have a 4, because probably none of your other life paths are going to give you general points.
Right. Okay.
But all the other life paths are going to give you just regular points.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah,
Got it. Got it.
yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
I have a question that
Yeah.
you can just
That
be
one
like,
was
it doesn't matter, and that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But I know we were talking about the leads, and
Yeah.
you like mark them down. But like, what are the things that are written under it, or written in the leads section?
Those are the settings you can jump to.
Just okay, gotcha.
Yeah, from this life path, you can go
You
to
can
these
just
settings.
stay in one or go. Okay.
Yeah.
So, just a quick question about the like power, fort, agility, and speed.
Oh, you want to know what they do?
Yeah, specifically, like,
Sure.
because I
Yep.
know power is going to be just physical raw. I'm guessing, but
yeah. Let me explain that
Yeah.
to everybody. Okay, I think
Stats are on page 17.
will and perception will. I think you probably know what that means. Power
Yeah.
is strength. Fort is like health, constitution. And there's a really clever way to remember the difference between agility and speed. Agility is things that you do with your hands, and speed is things you do with your feet.
oh,
So, your wielding a weapon is based on your agility. Outrunning someone is based on your speed.
okay.
So agility is an uber stat. Agility and power are uber stats for combat. Will and perception are both uber stats for social, political type of stuff.
Okay.
All of them have a place.
In my heart.
Question: if the same skill is listed for multiple life paths,
Just list it once.
great.
Yep. But just note that as you're listing off the skills, put a little star by the ones that are the first skill in the life
Oh,
path.
yeah.
So
Have
that
done.
because you're obligated to
Right.
buy that one, right? So, something I didn't mention, I should maybe it's kind of a weird thing, and you might somebody will want to rethink what you're doing based on this a little bit.
I've
You can
written so
repeat a
much.
life path.
Oh yeah.
You can,
I am a super villager.
yeah, you
Double
can go.
villager.
You know,
I'm not
born
sure.
peasant, peddler, court wizard. I mean, yeah. So.
Straight from cultist to bishop.
The old cultist to bishop pipeline.
I mean, the church is sad. I could see it happening, actually. But yeah, no, I already bended enough. Bent enough.
I did my work. I wrote it down. I'm sticking with it.
There you go.
I went from my scratch sheet to my second scratch sheet.
Oh, good.
It's
So
real
that's
now.
a sign. That's progress. You're super old, Sarah? How old are you, Sarah? I want to know how old you are.
How old is super old, Sarah? Tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hurt everyone's feelings. I'm 38 now.
525 years old.
Okay.
Oh,
that's fair.
wow. That's pretty old.
I'll
Yeah.
give you that one.
Yeah,
That might be old.
you have vivid memories of the dark times. You spent most of your life in the dark times.
Where was Xenal?
So
Yeah.
I noticed that there's some
28 years old.
skills
That's
that
just
have
crazy
a
to think about, isn't it?
cross on there. What
Sorry?
does the cross mean on some?
I think that's probably a training skill. What is it?
It's mounted combat training.
Yep. Okay. So
Get that
let
horse.
me short deviation. There is a thing called training skills, which I think 3E had something like this too, where you don't have points in it. You know, like you don't spend more points to get better at it. You just either have it or you don't,
Oh.
and it costs 2 points.
Oh.
It costs 2 skill points to get it,
Okay.
and there's no temptation to spend more points in it.
I will go ahead and mark the. Oh, so many extra markings. Okay.
Yeah. There's better. Yeah. Use the cross. That's what I recommend. Use the cross.
Use the cross.
That's what
Question
you
about the
recommend.
Because if you jump out of your current life path and you go into, I don't know, something random, has a list of leads like for that second one, right?
Yeah.
Could to get like say back into the previous one, is whatever is listed there your only option, or is the stuff that you had previously? If you were like in a city life path, you get out. Does what the second path have to have city in there somewhere to get back into the city life path?
I'd like to see if you can make it work to that. But, I've made a couple of exceptions here.
Year one.
Once you get to my exception, it's going to be so wild.
Help me out here. What are you looking at?
Basically, city briefly, and then like go either into outcast or professional soldier for a little bit, then
Yeah.
back into city to get back onto the regular things, just so I have a little bit of spice.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it might be the life path gives you that, but I'll allow that exception. If you want that to be your exception, you can have that be your exception.
That might be my exception. I just want a little spice before I have, because like in my resume here, there's a gap. There's a gap year, and I want to like explain the gap. I'm all like, man, it was a spicy gap.
Soldier. I was a soldier.
It's doing
Nice.
something, totally
Soldier
safe.
thing.
Sorry, I need to triple check something. So if
sure.
I jump from something under like, let's say I'm city born, and then something else I do is under the religious subset, does that add a lead going from?
That's a lead. Yeah,
Oh,
it just
okay.
adds 1 year to your life. It's not
Oh yeah,
that
got it.
big.
Okay, I need to go in and figure out the leads here in a sec. But
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta put
senator
traits
trait.
also.
Because I think I have to be in a village to be a
Right.
venal priest.
Yeah.
I guess
So
city people
there's
aren't getting
traits
scammed.
also. There's
Gotta go back.
yeah. Put the page numbers in the life
Well, I already
paths.
put it.
Yeah,
Mine
yeah.
is just clicked it.
Yeah, so the traits work similarly in
Oh, should we
that
be writing
you
those
are
down too?
obligated to take
That's why I
the
was like,
first trait
traits.
listed in each life path. It
great.
will. Now, a lot of the traits, if you actually look up the trait in the rule booklet to see what it does, some of them have a cost of like 2, 3, or 4 trait points. You're like, I can't afford that. But if it's listed on your life path, no matter what it says in the book later in the rules, if it's listed on your life path, it only costs 1. So that's
Okay.
really important to priests and sorcerer because you need faith
Yes.
and you need sorcery.
Yeah.
And those are really expensive traits. Unless you have a life path that gives you faith or sorcery, and which you do, it only costs you 1 fate trait.
Tight.
And so we have to, for full price, buy the Imperial Senator trait.
No, just 1 point.
Just one point.
It's on your life path.
It's on this one.
It's on
Sorry,
it's
Imperial.
added as a house rule to the other life paths that come before it. So,
Oh, okay.
municipal minister, magnet,
Gotcha. I see. Yeah.
justiciar, those 5 life paths have as a house
Okay.
rule added to them
Right.
a
I see it.
the trait
Regal there.
imperial senator.
Imperial.
I know you mentioned it earlier, and I think it's on one of the pages. What was it they get for the special alchemical ointments and treatments?
It's called an alchemical elixir
Okay.
of I had a name for it, but of
Youngening.
anti-aging, of extended vitality. You call it that.
I like
There we
that.
go. Somebody write that
I got
down,
work.
Steve Conard. The alchemical elixir of extended vitality. It does not increase your lifespan based on your race, but it lets you stay in your prime for longer. For at least 6 life paths. Then maybe come to a crashing.
Oh no.
It's kind of like speed. It just keeps you going, and then there's a crash at the end. But it works on a life path over a lifetime. So
Write and read count as
what
1.
was it that
Yes.
did? It's
what it does is it lets you. So on your mental and physical pool will be 7 and 16.
okay.
Plus whatever bonuses you get from here.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Okay.
So you start with 7 and 16, add those bonuses to 7 and 16. And yeah, exactly.
Okay. Cool. I think that's
So
correct.
I'm curious what trouble I've caused myself. Let's see here. Yeah, okay.
so old.
Normally with starting characters, I would have a limit of 6 for any one stat, but for these characters, I'm guessing maybe. Does anybody have something higher than a 6?
I don't know.
I'm not even.
I'm not.
I'm so
Okay.
far.
This is in your
You
in
wanna
what?
look- I'm far.
I'm doing
I've
skills and
balanced
traits, I
everything,
think.
though,
What level
so I
and what?
might change some points around.
Oh, those are fine. Yeah, I'm worried about like 7s and 8s.
I will likely have a
so
7
you're
or
all-
8
For what?
I'm very balanced.
for will.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, and I have
trying
a
to
7
think
in will.
Otherwise, it's 6-6.
I got a 7 in will too, so
so-
we're there.
16.
Wills.
I
You're gonna
can
smash everyone.
I punch people real
I
nice.
cannot
That's
wait
my negotiation
to need
tactic.
defense from you.
Wait, you cheated yourself.
What do you mean? I cheated myself.
Give yourself 10 points. Gryffindor.
Okay, so your base numbers are going to be 7 and 16 before you add all these.
Yeah, I
Right.
added. The
So you've got
extra.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more points,
Oh,
right?
oh.
Right? So 7 and 16 and 5 is.
I don't math right,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
will.
I think you're only like 2 short. But,
Okay, 2
but yeah,
short,
but yeah.
um,
So
either or. No.
well, I don't know where. I didn't look closely at where
no,
you got
because
out
I
point.
have 1, 2. Because I start at 16, right?
Right.
And I have 1, 2. That's
On physical.
On physical.
Look, that's 18,
That's
right?
18, and then mental.
And plus 7 is 10.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
So I did short myself
Yep. By 2 points.
by 2 points. So
Yep.
I could allocate those.
Yeah. Now, if you wanted to be, I know you're the character, maybe the only character that I'm not sure where everybody else is actually doing, but I think you're the character that is combat oriented.
Yes.
So, I mean, you might want to put your stats onto combat. I mean, if there ever ends up being a fight, they're probably all going to look at you and say,
I'm public
"Bonsai!"
safety. I am public safety. I take it seriously.
Right. You may be the character where it makes sense to be less of a debater and more of a tank.
Intimidation.
Puncher.
Yeah.
thing. Question
Yes.
about the skills under Imperial Console. It's title wise. Is that like our Imperial Console of whatever wise, or it says title in brackets?
Oh, right.
And
yeah.
trait in brackets.
Yeah.
Title.
Yeah. So for you, you
don't
are
know their skill list.
Imperial Consul of Cartography wise.
Yeah. Okay.
Each of you have this, right? Who are consuls. So
Yeah.
like Bonsai, you're going to have Imperial Consul of Public
Yes.
Safety wise.
Public safety.
So yeah. So wises, by the way, there's so many things I love about Burning Wheel. One of them is wises. So you can basically create any topic you want to and declare yourself wise about that topic.
Okay.
And if you spend a skill point on it, then you actually
Sarah,
are.
wanna confirm where the stats start at?
Yeah.
That's what Sarah's asking.
Yeah.
Where did the
Stats
stats start?
start at?
Page 9.
So for
Oh,
elves,
or
it's
20.
going to be
Oh, elves are different.
yeah.
yeah.
It's going to be
Like 90
at the end of the elf life path session. So Sarah, if you go to yeah, I'm not sure you're going to need any bonuses because elves are kick ass. You're only halfway through the elf timeline, 525 years or 526. It makes a difference, actually. You should take a lead and just add one more year there, and you get an extra point in your physical pool. Just take a year off. Take a year sabbatical sometime. So page 138 has mental pool of 13 and physical pool of 13 and 18. And then add to that any bonuses you got from your life pass. But by the way, elves and dwarves in Burning Wheel are life path for life path way tougher than humans. Just
Okay.
Oh, I
FYI.
get one more trait.
If we were playing like a legit campaign instead of this one, I would have elves have one less life path than humans.
Quick question.
Yes.
If you have 2 life paths and both of them have the same attribute as the first one, do I just move on to the second one or take it twice? Because like one's rule of law and then the next one's rule of law again.
If you've taken, yes, okay, yeah, that's a good safety tip. If you're talking about a skill, right?
Yes, this is
Skill associated with life path. If the first skill listed is already a first skill listed from another life path, then you're obligated to take the second one.
Oh, I need to go back through again.
That's good. That's good to know.
Wait, what? I missed it.
You'll explain it. Okay.
I mean, it's kind of an obscure rule. I'm not really worried if you don't want it. If you already got past that point, don't want to worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I mean, I can go back.
Oh, yeah, they were saying.
But your obligate
I'm
ones
fine.
were the
The
same?
first ones?
Lexi.
Okay.
If
Okay,
we
no,
make-
no, no,
I made
no,
a
not the
mistake.
first
Yeah,
one.
it's only
Okay,
the
so
first ones are the
yeah,
same.
the first
Without
one,
following
then
the
you would take
rules,
the
I would
second one
just
if
take
it-
the second one.
Yeah, if you take the same life
if they're
path twice,
like
for
if it's
example.
just on the list, you have to
yeah.
Is that the same for
first
trade?
one.
Just these two have the same.
Yeah,
They just
same
have the
person.
same.
You have
Yeah.
that many that
But you're
are
going to
the
want to
same?
write. You're probably going to want them both anyway.
No,
I
I
mean,
think
you
there's
can
at
have a.
least one, but I don't remember which one it is, so I have to go back and check them all.
Is there a benefit to taking it twice, or is it just not? That's not. You can't take it.
No, you could put multiple points in the same skill and be better at it. So we haven't got. Okay, so let me tell you what you're going to do with these points. Okay, so you're going to figure out ultimately what's called your final exponent in each skill, and you can see that column there. Every skill has what's called a root. And if you look in the back of your book, Megan probably has a tab. There is a list that, there's a bunch of lists back here, but the one that starts on page 590 through 593 lists every skill, what page it's on. Somebody screams out, that would have been helpful. And the root, okay?
Ah.
Okay, and so let's say all wises, by the way, have the same root, which is perception.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say you have a perception of 6. Okay, when you open a skill, with the first point you spend in a skill, gives you whatever half the root is. So perception of 6, half, then rounded down. So perception of 6, half of that is 3. So if you open a skill that has a perception as the root, the first point gets you to a 3. Okay, so that first point is really efficient. Every point you spend after that adds 1 to that number. That makes sense?
Yes.
First point is to use
The-
the stat, and then after that is just to add.
Yeah, that's why you're motivated to take as many skills as possible, because that first point you spend in a skill gets you more than the second point does. That first point gives you half of whatever the root is. Okay? And you guys are going to have high stats because of how old your characters are,
Yes.
plus the elixir, right? So probably the lowest stat, the table's probably going to be a 3, and that's probably going to be rare. It's probably mostly going to be 4s, right? So, so if your stat is a 4, and it's the root for some skill, then that skill is going to start at 2 with just 1 point spent. Then every point you spend past that adds 1 more. Okay?
Okay.
So earlier somebody asked me, Bonsai, I think you asked me about specializing, and I think I started to answer it and didn't finish. What I tend to like to do is buy all the skills except for maybe 1 or 2 that I just know I'm never going to use, just because that first point is so efficient, and then pick the ones that are really important to me and dump a bunch of points into those and try and get up to like 6 or 7. And I usually max all these things, whether they're stats or attributes or skills. I usually max them at 6, but I think for this group I'm going to max them at 8.
Max 8. I'm gonna put that down.
That's for every. That's it. I think for Sarah, I think I'll say max is 9, because elves are
Teacher's pet.
elves got to be better because they're elves.
They've been around for a while.
500 years old, and you're not even showing wrinkles yet, Sarah.
Wow.
If she wasn't better than us at like 500, then
Yeah.
I mean that'd be pretty sad.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
little slow.
This is so much fun.
Wait, what are these our general?
Root is
Another thing I forgot.
What's that?
What are our general? What do our general points go into?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
No, it
Now they
has to
So-
be right next
Just
to
try to
the
ignore
thing.
that until I'm
each
actually ready
individual
to
one. This
pursue
has
it.
the
Then.
full list
No, let
of
me
every
tell
single
you.
one.
Let me
if
tell
you're
you.
looking in
Okay.
order.
General points
so I have to, like,
let you
pull
pick
all
up
these.
skills that aren't on the
So I'm
list.
just going to go in
Oh,
order.
cool. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, same thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Also, this would be a good time. Do you have, let's see, look at your folder again.
Yeah,
Sorry,
please.
sorry, I keep stealing your
No,
handouts.
it's okay.
I knew I should have made a one for myself. Okay, there is a sheet in your folder called Guidelines to Creating Your Character.
Yes.
About character concept, process. You have 6 life paths. Read and write are 1 skill. Languages. You're going to know Cordovan, which is also called Dwarven, is also called Common. Just 3 different words for the same language. And the racial, in case of like Sarah, Elven, or ethnic language like Parse or Summation, Andal. You will know those languages. If you want to pick up another language, there's some that are commonly spoken in the court. There's a list there. And you basically, it's a training skill. It's not a matter of putting more points to get better at it. You just spend 2 points and you know the language. Yeah.
Okay.
So, skills. 2/3 of the way down, halfway down that list is some ideas for your general skill points in terms of spending points outside your life paths. There's a list of social skills, which obviously you know this is going to be a lot of that sort of stuff. So etiquette, falsehood, persuasion. Suasion, by the way, Lexi, is persuasion, but using religious doctrine to argue your point.
Also, I think I accidentally took 1 too many life paths.
Oh,
You have 7?
Was it 6? Looks like 6.
You have 6.
yeah, you
But
should say-
I didn't write the Imperial Consul.
I did the same thing.
Oh,
I did the
well.
exact same thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
You.
So I think I need to take priest off and leave it just from venal priest straight to archpriest.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
great. Yeah.
Okay.
I can see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This character conned their way right to the yeah,
That's fine.
Yeah.
Dead man's shoes kind of thing. I can jump.
Yeah, and oratory is swaying crowds.
Oh.
It's not that good in count. It will not be.
Okay,
the
so-
council is not a crowd.
So we don't necessarily.
Well, you might want it for other reasons.
Yeah, I have other
it's great
things
for
that work.
preaching, rousing the crowd, stuff like that. Oratory.
something else.
I'm just making clear that it will not work on other consuls.
That is good to
It would
know.
work in the Senate.
Work in the Senate.
I would say it would work in the
Okay.
Senate.
I'll put a maybe there.
There is the possibility of using one of the chapters in here called the Duel of Wits. So, in kind of mundane, you're trying to talk somebody into something. There's sort of that's an easy yes. In which case, I might just say yes. Is this kind of a hard yes? Like I'm not sure. I'm making make a skill test. If it's epic, like trying to talk your way out of being thrown in jail. We probably do what's called a Duel of Wits, which is a real fun little subsystem where instead of 1 die roll, it's several, and you use different tactics in your arguments. They say there are some skills on pages 395 to 397 that are, you can look, there's a bunch of different tactics you can use in a Duel of Wits, and it'll list which skills do that. And there's like 6 or 7 different tactics. It doesn't mean you need to pick up 6 or 7 skills. It just means, because there's a couple of them that are used in, I mean, you probably get 2 or 3 skills and cover. And also you guys can help each other.
I just want to real quick before I get further and
Yep.
make this mistake again. Do I have to include Imperial Senator as one of my life paths?
No, Imperial
that's a
Senator, by the way, is a trait.
Got
That's
it.
a trait
that
that you
that
get.
you get from being archpriest or magnet or duke or whatever. So
Okay,
it's
sorry.
a trait. It's not in the book. This is a house rule. So it'll be a trait that you'll spend 1 of your trait points on.
Okay. Whew. You're good.
There's also each of you who is a consul is basically running an organization. Like
Oh.
you're not making all the maps yourself. You've got a team.
Yes.
Damn.
Mostly.
It's probably been a long time since you've actually been out in the field with one of those devices and looking at the mountain, stuff like that. Yeah, it's been a while. So you might consider, there are some organizational skills listed here. Administration is probably the most important. That is actually running an organization.
I do have that. Thank you.
Bureaucracy is for navigating somebody else's bureaucracy or maybe your own, but that's more like understanding how to work a bureaucracy from the inside. Administration is like running your own administration. And there's a couple other ones. State management for a duke is pretty typical. You have a dukedom back at home.
I've got all my required ones. Now, how do I buy extras?
Well, that's what I'm just talking about, right?
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's so on this sheet it lists what I just said. So in terms of those general points, if none of your if none of your life paths gave you falsehood, then you can't lie without making a. I mean, if you lie in this system, you've got to make a falsehood roll. I'm just telling you.
Ooh, so falsehood's something that we might want to hold on to.
Falsehood is pretty important.
And that's something can we still buy that, or does it need to be
that's
in a
how.
path?
If it's not on your life path, that's what you
It's a
use the
general
general
thing.
points for.
That's
Wonderful.
That's why
Wonderful.
they're
I've been saving those
so
up.
valuable. Or let's say you spend all your time, none of your life paths give you weapon skills, but you want to go on an adventure. That's probably not. You could pick up sword, right, as a skill, right? Yeah.
What if in the little index the root is
There's a slash.
Yeah.
You average those two
average?
things.
Okay.
Those. So
so
it's
you
a little
roll in
weird
perp.
because you end up dividing twice. If it's like, say, perception and agility, you take those two numbers and add them, and then have them to average them, but then you have them again
Right. Yeah.
to get to
whatever your rate of-
the
exponent.
starting.
always half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I have a perception of 5, it will be
2.
2. Okay.
Yeah.
So it would be like.
So there is kind of a little gaminess here. Getting your stats to even numbers kind of is helps min-max your initial startup. But after startup, it's not going to matter. But it can be a little bit of a min-max choice at the beginning. Instead of 2 5s on physical, put a 6 and a 4 maybe,
Okay.
or maybe not.
And
This
remind
is so
me,
much fun.
if it's a slash between M and mental and physical,
Pick
you
one.
Choose
pick
one.
one. Okay.
Pick, one or the other. If it's a comedy, you get both. Those are kind of rare though.
Sarah says, a pro tip, always fork in seduction.
Yeah.
That sounds like a path we all should take.
Okay, so thank you, Sarah, for bringing up
I never
forks.
unlocked
You
seduction.
thought I was going to say seduction, didn't you? So, in case if you read this or not, let me. Still might be useful to repeat it. The way skill tests work in this game is you're going to have a dice pool, and you're going to start. You roll the dice that. If you've got a falsehood of 5, because you picked up falsehood and then stuck a couple other points into it, and you tell a bold-faced lie, you're going to. If you're just stretching the truth a little bit, I may not make you roll, but if you're telling an outright lie, you're for sure going to have to roll. So you're going to start with a dice pool of 5. There's what are called forks. So when you look up the skills in the skills section. In the skill description, it'll tell you what the forks are. So oddly, it can be kind of fun to put points in skills that seem really closely related. Like, why would I need persuasion and suasion? Well, persuasion might, I don't know if it does, but it might fork into suasion, right? Persuasion, it might, right? I don't know. Now I'm curious. I'm going to look at that. See if that's a bad example. And you can also, talk me into it. I'm not a big fan of being talked into things, but if I honestly think that it's a good,
So
don't
That's
want
why
that.
forking seduction.
yeah,
this is more of like a general streaming question. If the skill and traits part specifically is something that I feel like I want to go home and really take
Yeah,
my time going over, can I?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was really hoping.
It is
the
not
answer is to.
It is not our goal to finish these characters today. I'm going to cover all the steps,
Got it.
right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to go. I'm going to leave you. We're going to keep moving, but yes,
Okay.
please take them home and massage it and play with it. Don't feel like you have to make all these
In that
decisions
case,
right
I think
now.
a lot of this is going to be following along, listening for some of these next.
That's fine.
I might have
So-
somebody go over my math.
I might be on the phone with one of y'all between this week and next session.
Oh yeah, suasion, force persuasion
a
are
Discord
soothing
room for us.
platitudes and
Oh,
falsehood.
Discord, yeah.
Yeah, we can communicate via Discord. I'll make a Discord room for us to chat in-game chat stuff.
I would love
Yeah, I
that.
appreciate
You can do that.
Yeah.
Please. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Wait.
I
I'll
cannot
send
tell
you
you
his
the
invites
like
on the email.
stress that just like evaporated off my body when you suggested that.
Especially for a game like this, communicating back and forth is really important.
We're all like, hey,
plotting.
what are our
Right.
different skill sets so we know who's
Yeah.
going to vibe?
Yeah.
What was the thing for if you have a slash on the root? You just add them then half them?
Yeah, it's average.
You average you average the two, so you add them together and halve them.
So like whatever.
But that just
your
gets you to the
mentor
number that has to be halved.
Right. It's
Okay.
just like you, or let's say it's like will and perception, it would be 11.
Okay.
Right, and then divided by 2. But if it's like will and your speed, then that in this case it'd be 10 divided by 2. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, but then you have that number.
Right.
So you end up dividing by 2 twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could
Right,
divide
because
by
the
4 if
first
you're feeling
one-
Spicy.
The first one,
Two.
the first one is averaging. That's getting you a number that's comparable to
Okay.
the other numbers you would have to have, right? So if you had something based on will and your will was 6, you have that to 3. If you have something that's an average of will and another number that's also a 6, and you add them together, you have that to 6. You're not done. You have to 3 again, right? The averaging just gets you to the number you have to divide by 2
I
again.
feel like I'm going to need like a walkthrough on that at least once.
Sure,
And
sure.
you round
Happy
down?
to. Do you want me? Are you ready
I have
for
that
that?
one. Yeah.
Okay, let me come around.
Round down, right?
Yes. Closest number. So that's why it's not
Sorry.
worth it. Not.
Right, but sometimes I have
For example, I'm gonna
like
do-
I just have
also,
11
came
points.
with one of my
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
great. So your
Well,
will
Well, that's
is
why mine both were mine 9 and
3.
Oh man,
got it.
yeah.
Did you add these
Oh
numbers?
yeah, 11, 17.
Yes,
so-
actually, I have to
So it's
fix
both-
that
both
really
for
quickly
whammies.
because
Yeah.
it's dividing this. These are 5 and 5.
Land
really
number.
is 10.
Wheel and
Yeah.
power.
Okay. So will divided by 2
I
is
almost became a
2,
pirate, yeah.
right? So
Are you a
so your
No,
first
I'm not
point
a
you put
pirate.
into falsehood
You could be a pirate.
is going to give you
I
a falsehood of
could.
2.
Good.
Put another
Matter
point
what
in, then
you
you're
I want to be a
You can,
pirate
like,
senator.
You can like level
Okay.
these things up in theory,
Um,
right? That's why it matters where you put
And
your odd
then
one.
let's say firearms. By the way, don't take firearms. We don't have firearms.
No boosted.
Unless your arms
But
become
I'm using it
fire.
as an
That's what I
example
wanted.
because it's on the same page as
What if I
falsehood.
just
So if you took firearms, perception is 5 and agility is 3. So 5 and 3 is 8. You would average that, it becomes 4, right? That just gets you the number that's comparable to that stage of 6.
So
you're-
basically,
Let's
that only
establish
occurs when I have these little
alliances. Let's
slash
see
lines
who's
here where I
closest.
have to
I mean,
do
we're
math.
we're probably gonna have to.
Then-
So
know
then
what?
you would have that again.
You're
when you
right.
get
I'm
to
really
2.
open to alliances
So
right now.
for
Are
Really.
we open?
Will is the stat,
Public
so I'm
safety.
looking at will and being
Yeah,
like,
of
okay,
course.
cool, that's like a
Feel too
5.
late.
So if I was
Maybe
averaging it
drink.
and then you round
It's fine,
down,
just
so just
drink
putting
it.
it in
So
half
get a
and it goes
present.
okay.
Sure,
Get a
yeah.
present for your barn.
That's right.
Cartograph
I feel
got
like there's
you,
something
and I don't have
here.
to worry about
Yeah,
these
Yeah, we're
yet.
gonna be able
until
to figure this
later.
out.
We're
Right,
gonna be
so that's
such
just,
good jerks together.
Extra points you spin
I
into
got
it,
the
and then you
muscles
add that to
done
this. So if your first point gets you a 2, then let's say you added 2 more points
You
to
see
it,
how far
you put a
you
2
parked
here,
your wagon?
and it'd be a
It's into
4.
the street.
So if I kept doing it,
I
I'd be
can put my
2
foot
plus
there.
2 plus 2
too
equals,
far
and then
into
you do
the
something.
I'm dangerous.
You didn't
Cool,
get a
cool.
permit for your barn.
You didn't get
Calculate this
Jail.
Yeah. Okay.
You gotta destroy the
So
barn.
Peter, real quick for the traits, I'm noticing it says character,
Taste that
DT, and O.
Marcus is starting the Discord chat.
Good
Yeah,
job, Marcus.
I will be starting this with
Go
chat.
Marcus.
Worry about the emails tomorrow.
Okay. Sorry, Marcus.
Yeah. So for the type on the traits, there is character, which is a character role, but there's also CO and DT. What are those?
Oh. You're getting to. Excuse me. Okay. There is, so traits, there are 3 types of traits. There are what are called character traits, COs, call-on traits, and then what's called die traits.
Call-on traits.
And they're just different traits in terms of how they're handled mechanically. A character trait has is sort of the, I don't want to say weakest, but kind of is the weakest in a way. And a character trait is something that is just kind of a characteristic of you. And if you use that characteristic to create an obstacle for yourself, in other words, if you play that in a way that you know it's going to kind of screw you a little bit, you get rewarded for that with a fate point and burning wheel.
I like fate points.
And by the way, if you have a trait that you feel like this doesn't really fit my character, I don't really like it, I had to take it, I took it anyway, that's fine, just don't play it. I'm not going to be looking over your shoulder and picking out those traits and making you play them, okay? So you can just ignore, mad or whatever, right? You can just ignore it. And in fact, if you never use it, at some point, usually after about 6 sessions or so, it'll be more sessions with the way we're dividing up the groups. At some point, we have what's called a trait vote. A trait vote. It's kind of like, getting kicked off the island. If you have and the trait vote comes up, if you have a trait you've never used, the group will decide whether or not you get to keep it.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Also, if you want to start angling to be given a trait, you can role play having a trait even though you don't have it. And
love
as long
this.
as we kind of okay, that makes sense, fine.
Anyway, I know a lot about bees.
Desperately need this guy.
So it is actually the mechanic for picking up more traits is you just basically start playing the trait, and then eventually, if everybody thinks you did it convincingly, then when we have a trait vote, the group may give you that trait. And it's decided by the players. I don't get a vote now.
I like this.
That's what I want.
Every time
Just
you're in
like
a scene, you have to
shoveling hot
snack.
dogs in your mouth in the background of every scene.
Constantly.
You're snacking.
She's angling for the
Just
hot
the
dog.
So those are character traits. And remember, all these traits only cost 1 point if they're on your life path. An Imperial Consul is a character that's a die trait, but it's only costs you 1 also. A call-on trait, those are the most powerful mechanically. Once per session, you can use a call-on trait to re-roll any traitors in a test.
Nice.
And so it's pretty nice. A die trait is just a trait with some sort of mechanical thing other than that's not predictable. You just have to look up the rule and find out what it is. Die trait is just, it has some sort of trait, some sort of mechanical edge to it.
Okay. Cool.
Bless you.
Sneeze noisy.
Bless you. Is there a knowledge of dragons?
Yeah.
Okay.
You
Dragon-wise.
type dragon
Dragon-wise?
Dragon-wise.
Okay. Well, I have demonology and Imperialia.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Wanna make
You
sure I
just
get
make up. So wises, I'm glad you brought it up. You can pick any topic and spend one of your general points
Like
and be
Excellent.
smart on that topic.
mouth
Wise.
of hell wise or
Yeah.
suicidal bravery wise? Already accounted for.
They're already
you don't even
accounted-
have
yeah.
to.
Just in case.
Those are in the
Some of them
book.
are on life points, are on life paths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to
yeah.
save my points. I'm going to be a
Aura
light
of
sleeper.
innocence.
Light
I need
sleeper.
I'm
that.
going to be a light sleeper.
Light
I have
sleeper.
lavish tastes.
Yeah. I love this.
Character creation is super
So
fun.
what's
It
really
is-
fun is that some traits don't even have like a description. They just are listed. Like
Yeah.
that shit.
Yeah.
That shit has no description.
Yeah.
It's just there.
Just play it.
Just that shit.
You got this.
Just play
No
it.
description.
Believe in
I
you.
mean,
We
you
leave
get
this
it.
to your imagination.
We
Go crazy.
understand that.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
For root, are we supposed to just list what it costs or what it is?
No, what it is. You're doing it right. Yeah. The cost is 1. 1 skill point gets you that.
No, but I meant like how much it. Because I added the. Oh God, did I do it wrong?
Is that
No,
the
no, I think you did it
advances?
right.
Is that when you like
What?
pour
Yeah,
your
I think you did
skill
it right.
points
So
in
this is these look good. Those are the roots, right?
Okay, so
Yeah.
I don't have to
And-
know, but I meant by listing what it is. Do I have to put-
No.
you're good.
And actually, once you've calculated this, you never have to refer back to what was the root of this skill.
Oh.
It advances independent of that.
I'm just writing
Okay?
it poorly.
So you're writing it down.
Oh no,
you're
I
doing
was
it
just trying.
correctly.
I was like,
No,
I
you're
was looking
doing,
at other notes. I was like, do I do the test?
you're doing fine, Buzz.
You're writing down the root. So each one of these, and you might decide if there's one of them. If you decide, I'm not going to bother with etiquette.
Yeah.
You'll just scratch it off as a way to tell yourself you didn't take it. And then when you're done, each of these will have cost you 1 of your skill points. Of these 29 skill points you have, each of these will cost you 1, unless there's one that's not on your list, in which case you have to spend a general point.
Yeah, I have.
Or-
That's why I put
that's
G's.
G, right. Okay, so then any points you have left over, you can put here as just the number of points you spend in the advances column, and then add them together, and that's your final exponent, right? So that's that first point. Let's say, like here, what is this one? Brawling?
Brawling.
Yeah. So you've got a 3 in brawling just by spending 1 point.
Yes.
But to get to 6, you would have to spend 3 more points.
Okay.
4 points total.
So this is all 1 plus this. 1 plus the root.
No, just 1. In terms of how many skill points it costs?
Yeah.
It just costs you 1 skill point.
Oh, okay. So this is all 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.
Yeah, in terms of the cost.
Plus then however much he's
Yeah,
pouring into it.
right.
from here.
Okay. All right. Yes.
Yeah.
Math. Yes. Math. If I just keep saying math, they'll work.
Oh, Peter, do you have my character sheet or my thing over there? I think, yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Take a look at that.
I'm not done with it.
Can I also have the black thing with it as well? It's under there. It's got more information in it.
Bryce,
Thank
I need
you.
to borrow something.
Okay, what do we need?
Here, do you want more sheets?
No, it's okay.
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 Fear of cheese.
If you do need this, though, you can totally use this for going if you want to go over
No,
stuff
it's
like this.
okay. It's okay.
All of the skills that come from being an Imperial consul, what are
Yeah.
the roots of those? Are they all like...
Oh, they're all
assume
skills in this book.
They all are?
I think.
Even title-wise?
Yeah, all wises have perception as a root.
Okay, art of perception. Okay, cool.
Yep. Yeah. So for title wise, that for you, that's Imperial Consul of Economics? No, not economics. Of revenues?
Yes.
Yeah. So you
Revenue-wise,
Yeah,
whatever.
you can put Imperial Consul of Revenues wise, or just ICOR, whatever, or just say my.
Rev-wise.
But it is, just to be clear, Ray, that skill is very specific to your responsibility because you are responsible for this department. All of you consuls, like, understand, you got a department that you're running, you know, and you can have a number 2 that does 90% of the work. That's fine, but you're the one ultimately responsible, right? You know, it's like the CEO. You can have a COO who does all the work, but. And so that wise is how well do you understand what your department does?
That makes sense. You want to be good at that, you know? Maybe
And you have to have at least a 1 in that.
you're all right at it.
Yeah?
I feel like this is maybe obvious, but also
I love obvious.
this
Fine.
is all complicated. So, one of my like obligate traits
Yep.
is pragmatic.
Right?
So I'm looking at the index of traits,
Yeah.
and it's not on here, but there is pragmatic outlook.
Oh,
There's no just pragmatic.
There's a few
but
things in
that's-
there that are like that.
That's what is listed.
if you can't
under-
find it listed as an actual trait, then it's just does it say? Then it's probably a character trait, and it's just up to you to determine it
Okay,
or to
okay.
interpret it. Yeah.
Okay.
If it does, yeah. If it doesn't show up, then it's just a character trait.
A lot of mine aren't.
Interesting. Thing.
Yeah.
And like imperial senator,
I got a lot of 2s.
that's just a character trait.
Blessings be upon you. Like rays upon the side.
Yeah, there is no trait called pragmatic, so then it's
Yeah.
just a trait. It's a
Okay.
character
Oh,
trait.
man.
Same with imperial senator. It's just
Imperial Senator actually
Is in here?
a die. No, it's not in there, but it is on your creating. It is on this sheet that says creating Imperial Senator. The stat block is there, and the trait is you get a point and you have to spend a point. By the way, so the Imperial Consul gives you the point that you have to spend on, right? And it has skills. Council of Consuls wise, your title wise, oratory, rhetoric, administration, those are all in there. And 1 point of general, by the way. Hope everybody saw that. Imperial Consul gives you another precious general point. And that's, I'm sure, something Chloe would have disagreed with. But I threw that in there. So then you also gain an affiliation. We haven't got to resource points yet, but you also get a free affiliation with the Imperial Senate. At 3 dice.
I don't know if I misspoke. I was asking about the imperial senator trait itself, like if it's just a character trait or because we have to take that trait for the imperial consul thing. So like when I'm writing it down and it says type.
It's technically a die trait because the trait gives you a 1 die. If you just take
I had to look up type 2.
if you just take up senator, if you didn't, you guys are all chose to be consuls, so this
Okay.
point's kind of moot. But taking Imperial Senator gives you a 1 die affiliation with the Imperial Senate for free.
No, so I'm
But
adding.
by picking the Imperial Consul,
I'm
it increases
putting
that to
the
3
average.
dice.
So this one
Gotcha.
is like will, and half of that is 2. And so it's just the base root.
Okay,
But all of this is essentially 1 point.
that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just gotta do math.
Yeah,
Don't want to do math.
lots of math. Okay.
What are my
I think I'm gonna drink some water.
done with
My
my
head
like
is burning for
responsibility
numbers.
traits?
My head
So, do you mind if we pause for a moment? And let's, we could take a break and come back, or we can probably wrap this up in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
just,
if we
so we
could-
power through?
Yeah.
Just power
Power
through.
through. Okay.
hour.
I
And then
want
hit
to,
the Discord chat.
yeah, okay.
Let's do that, please.
I want to talk a little bit about resource points. We haven't quite
yeah.
got there
Oh,
yet,
yeah.
but I want to talk about resource points. You'll finish following the character burners through the other steps. The steps that come after traits are pretty easy. In fact, there's formulas to calculate your health and a bunch of other things. So just those are easy compared to everything you've done so far. Okay, once you get past traits, the last part that is fun is going shopping.
Yay.
And so you have from your life paths the RES column for resource points. And you spend those resource points on things. And in the human life paths section, the shopping list is by race. So the human shopping list is different than the elf shopping list and different from the orc shopping list. So the human shopping list is, I'm looking for it, it's just past the life pass is going to start getting into all these things.
200?
Special life pass.
200?
Yep, 202.
202.
Now, there's a real temptation to spend on weapons and armor and war horses and stuff like that. I am going to say that you have to spend 1 point on shoes,
Oh,
Fair.
fair.
1 point on clothing, and 5 points on finery. Okay, that's 7 points that I'm going to obligate you to spend.
Okay.
Out of the rest of it, my recommendation is to focus. And by the way, this is what I'm telling you is on this sheet of paper
Beautiful.
in your folder. My recommendation is to focus on relationships, affiliations, reputations, and property, like it says at the bottom of this sheet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then go back and buy the things that you were tempted to buy, like in play, right? Because these relationships are really strategic. Here you get to create NPCs.
Yeah, that's what I said. Dedicated
Or pick NPCs off the list. Like, if you're from Roosh, you may have a relationship with Bogoslav Tiomir. In relationship, I'm not talking about an intimate relationship, but
But
a relation.
are we? Fork into seduction.
Work in seduction. Note here that I'm giving you a 1D. Oh yeah, you have the affiliations with the Senate. You also so affiliations are memberships of organizations. So definitely the Senate. You're a member of your own organization. You don't have to buy that. You just are. Reputations are interesting property. But here's the kicker. In the little italicized part of this, I'm sorry, I'm reading off of your thing here.
You're okay.
The little italicized part of that says, note the amount spent on affiliations, reputations, and property. That amount you spend on those three things divided by 15 is your starting resources attribute. Your resources attribute, we don't track money in this system. You just have this is how wealthy I am. And you want that number to be as high, be a substantial number. That's really good to have that number be substantial. And if you spend at least 50 points on relationship or property, you get a bonus on circles, which is based on your will. So circles and resources are really important attributes for these types of characters. And so I'm basically giving you a hint on how to min-max to get those numbers up there.
Okay.
But yeah, weapons and stuff like that, you can just buy them in play afterwards by doing a resources test.
Okay.
And if it's a trivial thing, for given where your status is in life, I'm just going to say yes, and you have it. So,
Right. I had a question.
Yeah.
Because for one of my skills is appropriate weapon, and when I looked for root, it said nothing.
oh yes, okay, so that's fine. Bonsai, your appropriate weapons are lance,
Yes.
sword,
Yes.
and mace.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, no mace, because it didn't say.
No, we get to decide. This is
Oh, oh.
this is setting sort of stuff. Your appropriate weapons are the appropriate weapons for a no. You get all those.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's just built in. Like you as a and Andal, I'm going to call that pretty close to chivalry sort of setting. And I mean, sort of a sword. It might be a scimitar, but sword's really broad. It could be any type of sword anyway.
Anything that has like.
But hey, if you guys, yeah.
I was saying, am I missing where it says reputations, like how much they
That's what I
cost
was
in
looking
resource
for
points?
too.
Oh, it's on your character burner.
Okay, that's why. I'm just like, I'm not
It's-
seeing this anyway.
It's on it. Okay,
Okay.
but
Oh,
I
there it is,
would,
okay.
as I promised you that we could wrap up within a few minutes, then I would like you to all put aside what you're doing at the moment. Save it for a little later, between
It is cold,
sessions.
Shadow.
Okay? Because I have a special exercise.
There you go.
Remember I said we're going to do a
Oh, yeah, the
survey?
handout.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Survey.
yes,
Survey.
yes. Okay, so
Survey.
Marcus.
I would love to survey that.
Megan,
All of these.
Bryce,
Oh, it's got our names on
Ray.
it?
This is just so
Makes it
that,
scarier though.
Yeah,
actually.
right?
Yeah.
just to make sure the name gets in on it. They're all the same, but I'm going to collect these. This is something we're going to do right now. Okay. And what this is it's going to ask you a few questions. And what I would like is kind of keep these visible where you can see each other, because I would like to encourage you to not all answer the same way. Like, I'd like you to kind of look and see what other people are writing down and have a diversity of opinions. What I don't want this game to be is the 6 of you forming a voting block and a faction and being against the NPCs. I'm also not trying to make this a PvP scenario, but I do want there to be some differences. I think it will enhance our role playing. If one of you loves the elves, one of you hates the elves. One of you loves Set, one of you hates Set. I mean, like let's build in some conflict, social conflict, into this setting amongst your characters. So these characters, these questions, and I'll read them for anybody who might be watching. Let me
And
see.
then do we have to choose one of these answers, or are these just like suggestions?
I would like you to try and like which one's closest, but I also put space underneath where you can explain. You can add nuance to it. I don't want it to be. I know it's horrible when you take a survey and none of the answers quite fit. Usually, but if you're forced to do it, you want to say, you want to add something that says, yeah, but. Okay,
Yeah.
Go ahead and do that part, right? Pick one that's closest, but then underneath explain why that's not really exactly how you feel, okay? And so, so that everybody at home knows what these questions are. The first question is, what are your feelings about Emperor Cordova? And there's a subnote here that says, if you hated the Emperor, you wouldn't have gotten this far. I'm just telling you, he's a god. Especially those of you on the council.
Openly hated the emperor.
Even in your heart, hated the Emperor.
Yeah.
He wouldn't known he's a god.
okay.
And you're like, this
That's
guy
fair.
hates me, and I'm not going to put him in charge of running one of my departments.
Okay.
Questioning
Yeah.
the Emperor, everybody questions the Emperor to some extent, and the Emperor understands that and is okay with it, right? Questioning's good. It'll make us all stronger, right? But just having a hatred of the Emperor, openly hostile. If you were openly hostile, you wouldn't have gotten onto the. If you're hostile at any, you wouldn't have even gotten into the palace.
Yeah.
If you were, pointing at. Let's see. No, you're the one character that's not on the council,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm pointing at you. Right? If you were openly hostile to Granada, you couldn't get in the palace. Like, no way. No way the god's going to let you in the palace if you hate him. And even if you were secretly hostile, you wouldn't have gotten on the council.
If you're like, he's mid, then that's fine.
If he's like, yeah, the
fine.
guy's arrogant, you know.
He kind of sucks, but I like his taxation laws.
Yeah. So, and then, but yeah, then like, some of the options, some of the possible answers are, yeah, he did the great things, but what it cost. I mean, that's kind of the most negative feeling. That's kind of like, yeah, he did some great things, but what is the cost of these policies that he's put? What is the cost of having everybody have to worship Set, right? And the other end of the spectrum is like you're just heartbroken that he's dead, and terrified about the future. Like, oh my God.
Everyone else is like, what are we going to do? There's one person in the corner.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yeah, exactly. There's gotta be.
Or
then
any
the
of us
next,
that. That's the real question, is getting like someone to commit to that.
Depends on what everyone else picks. I
don't
might do
know.
that. Find a
You
way.
are very neutral looking.
I keep being concerned is the obvious one, right? Because even no matter how you felt about him, he did a good job. So if he's dead now, you're kind of like, ooh, power vacuum problems.
Yeah.
So like that's the most neutral.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm going with concerned specifically, like with the caveat, just because my character, the way I see her, she really didn't have feelings either. Like she really doesn't care that much about the greater good. So like frankly, so when it came to Emperor, she does her job well because she likes where she's at and doesn't want to lose her job. So I'm assuming that she didn't hate the Emperor, but she also didn't love him. She was just like, yeah, I'm going to keep doing what you want me to do because I like my position of power, and I'm sure that he could just sense in her oh yeah, she's not going to double cross me because she doesn't care enough to double cross me. So I'm concerned about the future of Cordova because she's comfortable in her position of power and doesn't want that to change.
I'm kind of leaning towards did some great things, but at what cost? For no other reason than I like the idea of oh, I brought you on even though you're kind of critical of me, but you are so pragmatic that you're but it outweighs it, so it's fine, and kind of played a devil's advocate to other things and would argue, but that was my position, ornery as a character. So they're just that. Yeah, they brought this person here to just naysay things.
Sarah is at what cost? Also,
Yeah, wait, is that
Yeah,
too many
my-
people? If I'm at what cost, is that too many people at what cost?
I am not at what cost.
I'm
so-
hoping
so
there's
you
at
guys
least
can
one
take
person
that.
heartbroken and terrified about the
okay.
future. Is there a...
If no one has chosen that sounds fun for me to play.
Go for it. Yeah.
Sorry,
Heartbroken?
and terrified about the future.
Yeah, heartbroken.
I will do
Yeah.
that. That seems like it'd be fun to play.
I think
Somebody's
I'm
got to
just
love
gonna
the
be
Emperor here. Okay, I mean,
concerned.
yeah, okay. Yeah, and by the way, Sarah, you have a lot more latitude than I'm giving these because you're actually not in the council and you're coming on a special mission. So you answer with your elf heart.
What did your elven heart say?
And by the way, elves were the most difficult part of Chaldea for Cordova to conquer.
You and Sarah
FY.
did some great things, but without what cost? I could switch over to concerned because concerned would then have two people, which is
That would be
Well, I
because
was-
Are
she's
you concerned?
yeah,
concerned.
Bonsai's
So
Well,
you're
my
concerned.
concern.
Okay.
What?
I would say I think
you're better off under. Yeah.
Better off.
And then your heart.
I wonder who
Yeah.
you think the new emperor should be.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so you're with the you're
So the reason why
right? Okay, great.
my character is concerned, I have long-term policies that he approved of, but now are not. Because public safety is a committed role. Okay, you have to think of the future, and they're going to change these rules and these lines. I made these jurisdictions for a reason. You know, no burning on a certain day because there's this thing called atmosphere.
Yeah, Sarah. Yeah, Sarah. If you want to, you can be more negative than the options I gave everybody else.
Nice.
That's fine. You can hate him. I don't care. You're coming after he dies, so you'll be allowed in the palace.
You show up
So there's a question about the new emperor.
Okay, so let's go to the next question.
Oh, the next question, yeah.
Question 2: what are your feelings about the future of the empire, of Cordova's empire? And the subtext here is what happens to you if the empire crumbles? I mean, you have an imperial position, right? If there's no empire, what happens to you?
I already have an answer for mine that I can throw out there. Oh,
I
sorry.
just want to list the answers for the
yeah.
for the audience. One is kind of good riddance to the kingdoms that want out. This is kind of about to what extent does the empire work to stay together as an empire. If you think back to the American Civil War, we went to war to not allow some of the states to secede from the Union, right? So this is that sort of a question. Like, so on one hand, good riddance to the kingdoms want out. Yeah, let them, screw them, right? And the other end of the spectrum is, hey, we got these legions. Anybody wants out, forget it. Send in the legions, right? Because we need
these legions.
we got these legions laying around. And then there's kind of the middle of the road. We look for political solutions as much as possible. So, anyway, yes, Lexi. Okay,
Oh yeah, I would say like she is full hard. Use the legions, keep it intact. Don't let anyone go.
Good.
She like really, yeah. She's like, and she's like, if I see, yeah, no, she's like any weakness that we show, it's just gonna tear us apart. We can't let anyone like hold, and because she
Are
grew,
we besties?
we're besties. Oh yeah, no. So she grew up rough. So she's like, she thinks the worst of people. So she's like, if you give them an inch, people are like bad at heart. They're gonna take a mile. Like, crush them.
What
That's
I
gonna
wrote,
be fun.
Lexi,
Yeah.
was
That's gonna be fun.
showing force to dissenters at this time is prudent.
I
I,
was doing whip is better than the carrot.
So far, it literally just says whip.
Playing.
Peter read the question, and she's immediately like,
murder.
All right, Marcus, you were.
I am going to. I believe my character would seek the political solution to hold as much of the empire together because he believes in the politics of it.
Sarah, burn the God King. That's Lexi.
That was me. Because you were telling Sarah she could go hard.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's Megan. Where are you?
I'm kind of waffling between the first two because in answer to the first question, I was like, yeah, like war and killing kind of make me uncomfortable, but I understand the necessity sometimes. So like, which yeah, kind of. I feel like she could go either way with the first two and either be like, if they want out, let them out. Also, low key, more work for me.
Yeah.
If all the borders change, pretty indispensable.
Job security, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're writing them out every day.
Okay, so you're somewhere in the first two.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, but I'm like, I could go depending on what other answers are.
Yeah, let's see what Ray's thinking.
I'm sort of leaning towards political solutions to hold together things, but the other ornery part of me just wants to be like, good riddance.
I'm going job security.
But I feel like I almost need to know more
because
about
you got
like
the border.
the kingdoms
You'll be
that are like
shifting a lot, so you will
eating
know.
themselves out. Like, how many want to leave? Are they important? Do they matter?
Why do they want to leave?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm like,
So
Yeah.
you can kind of think like,
who are the betrayers? Like, let's
well, so you're most of the kings on this map are probably loyal because they're close. So you kind of think of this is the capital city. This is the imperial capital of the world, and this is one continent out of 10. The further away you get from here, probably the less loyal, generally speaking. There are a couple of really important kingdoms that aren't on this map, Perrin and Emilius. But Hachemanish is definitely, I mean, Tarsus, by the way, Tarsus, who's head of the military, is the heir to the throne of Hachemanish, the kingdom you're from. So, you certainly, but probably, so when Credava became emperor, the problems were in Nisha, the orcs, and the elves, mainly the non-humans.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Not totally. There's Tavia, just on the other side of the big ditch, or the giant ditch.
Giant ditch.
The giants, the Jotunholm. The Tavians are basically Vikings. They're probably not real eager imperial citizens. But yeah, I would love it if Ray and Megan, if between the two of you, one of you takes the good riddance.
I'll go with good riddance
Okay.
for the sake of like from the revenue perspective. I'm gonna pitch it for that. Like some of these guys cost a lot of money. They're a
War is
pain
expensive.
to manage. We send them resources to keep their ish from going crazy. This is bullshit. We need to get out and focus on ourselves. You guys can like smash the spears together and freak them out, but we're not gonna try to fight to keep them in.
That's how you feel. Yeah.
I would like to also, I mean, we have someone in
Yeah.
the middle.
Yeah.
I would like to also go with good riddance, but from a less salty. Like, maybe not like good riddance.
Reduce
but
sodium,
like,
good riddance.
Yeah, I mean, if
Good
they're
riddance.
Gonna, yeah. So that's how we
More
like.
work to
There
do.
are the shades within ours. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. And you can add some annotation. And I am going to ask for these back at the end of the session because this is going to be my study. These I want back tonight.
Yeah.
The characters don't have to be
Okay.
done, but I want these back tonight. And we can.
The erasing that just happened.
Okay.
Don't have to
Third question. Because your characters at this moment in creation don't know the Emperor's going to die, but the Emperor's going to die. You all know that. So I'm asking questions that are kind of like projecting so that I can, help me create plot lines and stuff like that to kind of know where the characters are. And and of course that's also why I want some differences. If there is a new Emperor, who should it be? Okay, so let me tell you, Princess Leanne. Leanne is the only now Krava. Again, boyhood fantasies.
Yeah.
Only recognize.
Yeah.
Yeah. Emperor Six Pack has babies all over.
Yeah. He's had some children by different women. The only one that he's ever recognized officially, it's not that he's like, oh no, that can't be my child, but in terms of official recognition, like this person has a title and is part of the royal family, is Leon. And his mother was a genie by the name of Tiniel. And she's got the stats, if you will. Like if you talk about presence, a physical presence, she's got good stats. She could do it. She's young,
Okay.
but she could definitely do it. There is Queen Iltani, who's a demigoddess of Ishtar, who has been betrothed to. You might remember
I
Iltani.
do remember. Yeah.
Who's been betrothed to Cordova for 10 years. 10 years is a long time to be betrothed and not.
So she's single?
I'm,
Oh,
Because that might be the new emperor as far as I'm concerned.
She does like putting dicks in handcuffs.
that's true.
So
That's
specific.
canon.
There is a piece of art if you search deep enough in the website.
Thanks to know.
She is very powerful, but she is quite unpopular. I try to avoid sexism, but there are two kingdoms where there is male superiority or female superiority. Akkadi is a female-dominated society where men are kept uneducated and used mainly for the military and physical labor. And Iltani is the queen of that kingdom.
Okay.
She is she does not come to the imperial capital very often. She's not very popular. It'd be fun if one of you liked her, but I'm not going to force that. But it'd be fun if one of you thought, that's the right choice.
But he's powerful.
I mean, do it.
He's a demigod.
She's a goddess of Ishtar. I mean, come
Demigod
on.
to demigod. It's a lateral move.
Exactly. Everybody, it's like, oh, they're weak. They don't have a demigod. Oh, wait, never mind. That one's meaner.
I mean,
That's
I'm
pretty. She's unpopular.
All right.
You're making.
Third option is Bogoslav Tiamir, right? He's the Senate chair. He's got the connections. He's got the political
don't like that guy.
power. He's the guy that could definitely do it.
But he's old.
He's old.
And he's
military
not
legions
Yeah,
guy.
He's not gonna die tomorrow. He's old. He's not.
Elixirs.
I mean, he's old, like maybe 70s.
Oh,
And
With some
human-
magic,
That's
he
like
could be
an
alive for another couple
average
decades.
president.
He could be.
But
A young president.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, last option is let the Senate decide.
See, I am torn between the first one and the fourth one because my character, I think, believes in the political stuff of the Senate, but because he was so heartbroken about the future of Cordova, I think he might go
Oh,
for
yeah.
the bloodline angle.
Yeah.
So I have a question that will
Yeah.
decide my answer. Between the princess and Bogoslav, which one, I figure we know them well enough, at least from these meetings and passings, which one do we feel would side more with be aggressive, like keep the empire intact, like make action, like, or think the princess because she's young and like, yeah, or the Senate Council guy because
Well,
He's like a military dude.
Yeah,
you also have some
yeah.
loyalty to Set, right?
Yeah.
You were pretty, and so what Holsan thinks is probably very important to you. So Holsan is your boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's also a council member.
Yeah.
So, I would think that you working on the council think that you.
I kind of want to lean towards the princess, especially if no one else is going to take the
I'm
princess.
I'm going for the princess.
Oh, you're a princess. Never
You
mind.
totally can. I could have
Yeah.
a princess
Two
party, matching
princesses.
princess shirts.
Yeah.
I mean, Holsan and Bogusov are pretty tight.
They are. Okay. I'm going to take a minute. Because Princess would kind of be throwing something a little to the wind for her personality, but I kind of want to have one answer just kind of throwing it to the wind. But
Yeah, that's fine. You can,
We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, assuming some
yeah.
other.
We'll see what
you
everyone
can-
else says, because I can
yeah,
go
yeah.
either way. I can fill it.
Yeah.
I can fill
Bryce,
it.
Bryce
I've
wants
been
to say.
thinking about being from Acadia. So I've been thinking about being from there. And so before I saw this, and I was like, oh, well, that tracks. I'm about that. What is it like being a man from Acadia?
You probably got out of there as soon as you could.
what would my loyalties be like? Where it's like, but my mom and grandma. And I do
It's
love-
complicated, you know.
It's complicated, but okay.
You could be
I'm about it.
female.
No, I don't.
Yeah. I mean, then it's great being from Acadia.
I got out of there, but I definitely
Yeah.
am still like, you know what? I still got some family
You've still got
ties.
family.
You've been away long
you've
enough.
got
You
In
forgot
my
how much it
nationality,
sucks.
I'm from there. That's why I think it's great.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, she'll kick ass.
Yeah, she's fat, she's
Let's
strong.
go.
Do you want to be female from Acadia? Do you want to change?
Well, that's right, because I'm more gender neutral, so I don't even know if that
So
would
you're
be a
Hakmanish.
thing. Yeah.
Or gender neutral from Acadia, right?
Yeah.
You could.
If
you
I
have
was, then that would be interesting, because then I'd be like,
I got no problem with changing it.
okay.
Like I gave you these ethnicities as a starting point, but
I think gender neutral actually would be better for me, and then being from Acadia, which is already what I was thinking. So
okay, but you're not both gonna like Giltani,
No,
right?
I'm gonna just keep where I am.
okay, yeah.
Just let you.
Thanks,
Oh,
man.
okay.
Praise be to the queen.
All right.
Yeah,
So you're gonna be Akkadian.
yeah.
All right, but non-binary.
Non-binary, but mask. So I definitely appear more manly, but I'm just like, you know what? Whatever, it's fine.
Okay.
All right. Well, we can leave some question marks around that.
Yeah, so many question
Fine.
marks around.
Yeah, yeah. That's the midwife knows.
So midwife was like,
Has an opinion anyway.
Do we have two people for the princess now?
It's one
I-
princess, one queen.
I am
I'm
princess.
queen.
I am a princess.
You're a queen.
You're a queen too.
Two
wanna be
queens. All right, two
All right.
queens, one princess.
Queen Otani?
Yes, because I
Nice.
trust
Wow.
that a demigod would live longer
Wow,
to keep
this
my
is-
policies
You're really
in
about
place.
the age.
This is
thing.
a surprise.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Policies. And
That's-
also,
That's
I'm
That's
a
great.
very strong female character, and I see nothing wrong with another female queen.
Yeah.
Get her in there.
Do it.
queens.
Right.
This is fun.
Okay. Leanne, Iltani.
I am sort of in the same boat, actually, like same too, torn between the princess and Boguslav, because I have a lot of loyalties to the like Russian
Yeah.
prince.
Yeah.
What is he?
Grand
Yeah.
Prince.
The Grand Prince.
Grand
Yeah.
Prince.
Boguslav. Yeah.
But
yeah.
at the same time, he is very military, and like as established in my previous answers, that's not necessarily my thing, and it doesn't feel as much like a betrayal to be like continue with the line that was already
Right.
serving. It's not
Right.
like
Yeah.
you know,
I,
but like
I love
if-
complexity.
yeah, but if he were to like
Right.
make a move for the throne, I might support him, but like I also respect the Cordovan
Bloodline.
line that has been set
That's-
up, and she's probably like been training in
Alright.
all of the statecraft that's necessary for this. Where
Would
I
it
don't know.
help if I went for Boguslav? Because I'm from, the Consul of Revenues is, based out of the Kingdom of Rouge. So I would know he's Rouge.
Well, I thought you were Hakmanish.
That was what I did originally, but then that was before I became
before
a
you became a
consul.
consul, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it makes a lot of sense if you're from Rouge. I'm not saying you both have to be, but I
Yeah.
would like one of you guys to be
Yeah.
a good Boguslav
Yeah,
loyalist.
I feel like for the sake of, because I'm very I don't like chaos. You guys just need to chill out. He's a good, at the very least, middle guy
Yeah.
for now for the transition. while we figure things out. I'm like, he's fast, he's easy, he's not gonna have any like problems. We just put him in
Yeah.
place. Y'all know him. Then we can all fight about what comes after. All right, he's not gonna live very long.
Or no new emperor, says Sarah.
No new emperor.
Empress?
You can have that. Yeah. We don't need emperor.
Does nobody believe in the
Okay.
Senate?
So I was gonna say, no one else took the Senate. I'll come up with an excuse. I'll do it.
Okay.
Maybe you
Yeah.
could like
Well-
bribe the right people and then
I can say-
get whoever you want. on the
Yeah,
ground.
she thinks that she's gonna play this Senate and get someone she wants in
Nice.
charge.
That's the chaos I'm trying to
Score.
Yeah.
Score.
give these political animals power.
She's like, I don't
All
trust
right.
any of those three. Yeah, she wants someone she can control. Now, that's her opportunity.
So there we go.
Okay.
Okay. Last
That's
question.
some meat.
Last question for the survey. Emperor Kadava was a demigod of Set. Worship of other gods is illegal in most of the empire. How do you feel about worshiping Set? So, on one extreme is Set is the one true god. I'm a devout worshiper, and I think Lexi, that's where we started with your character.
Yeah.
That's where she is.
Yes.
You actually
You're
believe that,
actually
though?
a priest of Set.
She better.
Just saying you started
So
just like shilling
here,
other
I
gods.
actually had my justification. So she is devout to Set because, again, she believes that people are awful. Like, for her growing up, it was not great. So she really believes that it Set's control. She doesn't think Set's a good person, but she thinks that Set's control and Set's command is what is holding this world together. And so we need to keep following this god and like keep supporting their mission because otherwise we are going to fall to war.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I
That
see
makes
that.
sense.
That's good.
The order
Yep. Set is keeping the order of things.
for yourself.
Then, okay, so that's the first option. Second option, and these are going to get gradually less and less enthusiastic. Set's okay. Yeah, he's okay. Kadava liked him. That's good enough for me. I pay tithe, usually. Third option is sometimes I go to Set festivals for appearances, but now maybe I won't have to. And the last one is, by the way, something where there's a violation of what I said earlier about, well, you couldn't have gotten this far if you hated Kadava. You could secretly worship another god because the worship of a god is a private affair of your heart, and even a demigod can't necessarily see that.
Spicy.
Spicy and
So,
What are we
So-
feeling?
we got one of the devouts.
I mean, I could go secretly worship another god. It's very like I'm all about the greater good, but also like, fuck this guy. It's fine. I don't need to worship him. Everyone else can to keep order. That's fine. Not me though.
He's not going to notice one person. Yeah.
And I sometimes go to the third answer. I sometimes go to Set festivals. That's kind of like the I don't really care about gods. That's like the third answer is like
This guy.
That's what I was going to say.
Holiday.
I think with the exception of, but now maybe I won't have to. I think if I am booking for Leon, then maybe I will probably still have to carry that over. So I'm going to cross that part out, but otherwise, I go to them for appearances.
Hashtag not my god. Just saying. Like,
okay.
Hashtag you don't know that's
And
not
so-
my god.
Hashtag is God something you worship in your own heart.
Ray, serious? You worship another god? Okay. So you want to you come from Rush, right? So if you want to explore on your own time Russian mythologies. Don't do Baba Yaga though. It's way too cliche. Find somebody else.
Father Christmas.
No, that's not good.
Okay.
such a sick role.
Father
I'm like the
Chaldea.
grumpiest person, and I'm all like, Santa! Secretly in my heart,
Like, what? I can't love happiness for children.
it's like she's so mean, but in my heart, I'm like, yes. Like, she, like,
Okay,
rises
so
like,
you're in the
yeah.
number three.
Number
right?
three.
Okay, we got all four of you. Bonsai, Megan, what are you guys thinking?
I was kind of thinking the second level, but now I kind of want to secretly worship a different god.
Well, I was thinking the second level, so that makes one of at least everything.
Yep.
If you want
Yep.
a secret god.
Okay, and if you do that route, you are from Andal, so you would pick an Arab look at the Kurshites.
Crochet.
Or if you look
Or
up.
no, because now I'm that's gonna break from my character's like thought process of order.
Oh.
Do you want to be devout with me?
Devout.
Nothing's scarier than someone with that many swords being that devout
Right?
about something.
I'm a fanatic. Oh no.
And I guess a cultist.
There's a reason I'm like, and this one's my friend.
Okay, so Sarah asked a question: do elves have a specific god? No, they don't.
I bet it ain't said.
Themselves, you know. It's like,
The worship of gods is mainly a human thing.
She's just atheist.
And elves predate the age of gods. So in cosmology of the Pearl universe, which Chaldea is a plane in the Pearl universe, in the cosmology there are different ages that happen, and as ages come and go. And the newest age is the age of gods. The age that's at its apex is the age of magic, and the age that's waning is the age of the celestials. You have a question?
My question is, with my second, does the pushing of the queen
Yep.
conflict with the religious zealot?
Not necessarily. I mean, you can. I also think it's great when you have beliefs that are in conflict.
Okay, so yeah.
Right. I mean, you could. I mean, that's. By the way, that's great, particularly in Burning Wheel.
Okay.
We haven't got to beliefs yet. That's the last and most important chapter.
Okay.
But you can kind of see where this is going as you think about beliefs. You'll think about your answers to this. I would like you, as you go through the character process on your own, think about your character. You will get to the section about beliefs. I would love it if you can incorporate as much of this as possible into your beliefs.
it's got a picture of it.
Yeah, I'm
That's what I'm
gonna
gonna
snap.
just snap of this.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Take a picture of this so that you have it too. Yeah, good idea.
Oh, why didn't I
but
just do
yeah.
documents?
Yeah,
I know, I
no,
should
the
have
elves.
done the same thought.
By the way, Sarah, what elves do have is elves are like the one race that has something of a higher purpose as a species, in that, and maybe not all elves are aware of this, but you certainly would be, is that there is a place the elves ultimately come from, and when elves give up their life, you know, like in Tolkien, they sail into the West or whatever, you go back and basically it's like, what's that, when you come back to life in another form?
Reincarnation?
Reincarnation. It's kind of like that in the sense that elves ultimately are overcome by grief and give their spirit back to the one tree and rejoin their spirit, and they're healed. Their spirit is healed and reborn as a new elf. And elves fight for, and elves have an agenda, a cosmological agenda across all planes, which is nature.
Oh.
Not
We're
to
a tree.
be not to be cliche, but at the end of the day, elves are all about the nature and anti like undead and anti-nature, and not necessarily like good, but mostly good and mostly about life. And when in the history of the elven race in Chaldea, it wasn't one of the races that the dragons brought to fight the dwarves. The elves came on their own because in the elven mind, at that level, Chaldea is a place in question. It could be saved, or it might slide into evil.
See, that's much nicer than what came to mind. I was like, free real estate.
I was like, they were falling too
Oh my
swift.
gosh. All the way.
All the Swifties.
That's so noble.
That's
Okay.
who worship. Okay.
I'm looking at my thing. Okay, I have a question for you after we wrap
Yes.
up. So
Okay.
I know this was intense, especially creating
For
characters
sure.
this powerful
Yeah.
on stream. But I love you, and I'm here for you, and we can.
Sweetest
Well,
witness.
the Discord was coming, and you can continue working on your characters on your own time and flesh these out. If you decide to do something dramatically different with your character, especially if you're changing these, check with me and let me know so that I'm not blindsided by it later on. And I am very much looking forward to us playing together.
Ew.
I like come to the quick chaos triangle right here.
Real quick around the table, if you want to say where you can be found on the internet, we'll
Hi.
do that real quick.
I am Marcus. You can find me on the internet by looking for me.
Oh, I'm Bonsai Baby. Bonsai Baby on Twitch and Bonsai Baby on everything else because, gosh darn, they got to it first.
Jerks.
All right. I am at Megan and Eggs on Instagram. And so, I mean, I don't know. I don't post on the internet a lot, so follow that.
Hey, I am Lexi the First across social media. Nice and easy.
I'm Rain. You can't find me on social media.
Bryce Bebop, pretty much the only one. That's where I'm at. You could also watch me on Actoroke.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, sorry. A lot of these people on Wednesday.
And I am Peter Atkinson. I didn't do my pronouns earlier. I'm a he, they. So that's how that works out. And I am Peter Atkinson on Facebook. That's the only social media I'm at on personally, but producer for Gen Con TV. So you can kind of find me indirectly in a lot of places on Gen Con TV and Gen Con itself. And I will be here every other week on Actoroke with some subset of this group that will rotate, evolve as time goes on. And I am also, when Table Takes comes back from its current break next season, I will be on Table Takes most Fridays, except when I'm traveling or something like that. So that's on Fridays at, we stick them at the same time?
Same time.
2 p.m.
2 p.m.
2 p.m. Pacific time. Actoroke here is 6 p.m. on Wednesdays Pacific time. And thank you for watching and hanging out with us. This is going to be a lot of fun. So goodbye.
Dun, 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 dun.
It's over now.
Bye, everybody.